Nation, and welcome back to football season. It's time for the 2025 year of Cougar football, brought to you here on the Cougar Sports Network. I'm Jonathan Shear, and joining me for the first time this season is head coach of that team, Chase Hankins. Coach, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
And Coach, it's been a long offseason prepping up for the new year, coming off of your first year as head coach, where the team saw a lot of improvement, especially on the offensive side of the ball from the past couple years. Coming into this year, there's been a couple different focuses on this team. The biggest one, obviously, being, especially on the defensive end, changes on the sideline. Brand new defensive coordinator for your squad. Got a new offensive coordinator as well. And a lot of turnover on the defensive personnel as well. Not too many people staying around on that defense from last season. A lot of new faces on defense as well. How has that transition been? Just bringing in a whole new defensive coach, defensive personnel, everything, and how's that preparation gone through the offseason?
Well, small correction there. Like, not too many guys did stick around, but the right people did stick around. And so when you've got a couple of guys that you can build that defense around and continue with development and training, that's always a good sign because you have that leadership built in. And then as far as, sort of the crown jewel of the coaching staff now, Coach Druick, he's probably one of the smartest guys I've ever been around. So that's a huge relief for me, and the defense is in good hands, and we're hoping to see a lot more stops this year.
Absolutely. And switching over onto your side of the ball, the offensive side, you do a lot of work the offense. A lot of this consistency there. Colton Bosch returning at QB, your backfield, Jerron Brown, he's back. So that's kind of saying the same. That receiving core, a lot of turnover there, a lot of graduates, a lot of people going out. So totally different faces coming in on that receiving core. How's that transition been, and how has that worked into picking up that other side of the offense and getting that to flow into your system?
Yeah, so I think that, when you lose a guy like Devin Bledsoe and Jace Levi and Henry Jones, a lot of people would think that we would take a step back with our wide receivers. But to me, and I know that my quarterbacks would agree with me and the coaches would agree with me, there's a lot less balls on the ground now. The guys are a lot crisper in running their routes. They're doing a really good job of, attacking and perimeter blocking, where I think that last year was sort of a proof of concept with those receivers. They were great receivers, but I think that we've taken a couple of steps forward in that regard too.
Absolutely. And another part of the offense that just sparked to mind that also has seen a lot of turnover coming into this year, couple faces sticking around from last year on the offensive line. So a lot of turnover there, mostly new group for the offensive line. How's that construction gone, putting that together, trying to rebuild that from last year?
Yeah, so that definitely is a little bit of a blow there, where you had three guys in C.J. Morris and Christian Duran and Jalen Franklin, playing with each other for a really long time. But I think that with the size that we've got now up front, yes, they're a little bit less experienced, but it's really exciting to think of what we can do with guys that have a little bit of experience in Daniel Banks and Ezekiel Pearson, but then a lot of size guard to guard with, Ben Hardy and Matt Godar and Wykir Jones and Trey Williams. You're going to see him a couple of times too. So we've gotten a lot of size in the offensive lineman, which we're really excited about.
Absolutely. And that's all of your changes from the offseason, those position groups. You've put this team together. You guys have been working to getting experience playing together through the offseason, and it's building towards tomorrow, season opener right here at home against the University of Minnesota Morris. Also the Cougars coming into town for an 11 a.m. matchup tomorrow. As you look ahead to next week, I know I've talked with a bunch of the guys on the team. They are very excited to get going tomorrow, and they feel very confident, very motivated for tomorrow's game. As you've gone through the last week or two focusing on this season opener, what have you kind of been looking to do, prepping with that game plan? What's been that focus to try and win tomorrow?
Yeah, so generally we just want to score more points and prevent points being scored. But I think going back to what you said, a big reason why they're excited is because they're invested and they're dedicated to this. And it's always easier to pull guys back in practice and say, don't go so hard, rather than we need you to go a little bit harder. And that's been something that's been from an identity standpoint, significantly different, where we've got guys that are hungry to practice and hungry to get better, and that excitement shows through because it just means more to them now. And not saying it didn't mean more to them last year, but they notice that there's a direction in this program, and we retained the right guys, and they developed, and then we recruited the right guys as well, where we've got a really, really good group. And we're just going to let that personality show. That's the theme of this week.
Absolutely. And something I kind of want to do just to start off this year, we'll focus short term now. First season opener, what is some sort of quantifiable goal that you want your team to hit on the field tomorrow?
I have to give you a hard number.
General number.
Yeah. That's a good question. I would say points. I'm not going to put a number on it, but points.
Yeah.
We're never going to be happy if we end it with a punt. Sorry for Dennis Vanderplow, our punter. I love you to death, but I don't want to see you on the field very much. And then I also want to see us, ending with their punter getting a little bit sore from how much he's punting. So if we can get those two things squared away, I think we'll be okay.
Absolutely. Well, that'll do it for this week's Football Coaches Weekly. Coach Chase, thank you for coming on the show again this week, and thank you for tuning in to Coaches Week on the Cougar Sports Network. Like we mentioned, Cougar football back in action for the 2025 season right here in River Forest tomorrow, taking on the University of Minnesota Morris Cougars out of Concordia Stadium at 11 a.m. You'll be able to catch all that action right here on the Cougar Sports Network. Again, thank you for joining us. I'm Jonathan Shear with Cougar Sports Network, and as always, roll Cougs.
Go Cougs.
What's up, Cougar Nation, and welcome back to football season here at Concordia University, Chicago. It's kickoff Saturday for the Concordia Chicago Cougars, taking on the visiting University of Minnesota Morris Cougars right here on September 6th. Concordia Chicago coming into the year with a lot of new questions, a lot of excitement, a lot of interest surrounding this team. And Minnesota Morris coming in this year, a lot of interest, a lot for them. It's about a bounce back here as the two teams get ready to kick off their seasons right here in Northern Illinois on Saturday at 11 a.m. I'm Jonathan Shear with the Cougar Sports Network here with Dominic Liasone. And Dominic, as we get ready for today's game, Cougars, a lot of questions coming into the game today. Minnesota Morris, not as many, but they're coming off of a bit of an interesting year for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Last year, kind of a down year, 2023. They were conference champions in the UMAC, and then last year just a 500 or just above a 500 record and a 500 record in conference play. So the question is the mediocrity, if you will, going to carry over from last year, or can they find their stride again with some new faces and some new places? That's really going to be the question for Morris. They want to come out and they want a strong start to their 2025 season, especially on the road. This is not an easy place to play.
No, it's not. I mean, it's been a long drive. They came down yesterday they got a long drive back home after the game. And like you mentioned, a lot of new faces. Couple key returners, though, on this squad, and a lot of that is on the defense. Juan Garza, Gregory Oman, and Chase Meyer.
Yeah, you have to look at Chase Meyer, the UMAC Defensive Player of the Year in 2022 and 23. Had kind of a quote-unquote down year for his standards, if you will, last year, but he still had 11 tackles for loss, so he's going to really anchor that defensive line on the D end, and he's a guy that is going to return a lot from last year's squad, and when you have those new faces in those new places, it's always nice to have a couple of guys that have the experience, have that veteran leadership to help anchor the new guys.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, Chase Meyer, Gregory Oman, also big parts of that pass rush from Minnesota Morris's side. Now you switch it over to the Cougars coming into this year. Lots of turnover all around for CUC. You look on the offensive side of the ball and just transitioning straight into that to the offensive line. Ton of turnover into the offensive line this year. Almost the entirety of that group, they're gone. You have two starters returning on the O-line, one backup returning. Everyone else didn't make the two deep a single game last year. So a lot of turnover, a lot of new faces. But Coach Hankins, he's changed up that offensive line. He's changed up where people are playing. So the Cougars are going to have to see how that O-line can stack up against a strong pass rush from Minnesota Morris.
Yeah, and it's all about new faces, right? We're talking about new faces and new places. First-year offensive coordinator, Charlie Clark, in his first season, he's a player favorite. He is a player's coach. He's a guy that you'd run through a wall for. And he's going to have this offense looking more dynamic. We're going to see what's different from last year. But you take a look at the numbers last year, the second worst offense in the conference, and they just could not find a way to get into the end zone. They needed to get in the red zone most of the time. When you're looking at this offense, if they are going to convert, they got to get into the red zone because that's where their success was. Very, very good red zone percentage last year for this offense.
Absolutely. And when you look at last year, you watch last year's team, you could tell that offense started to struggle more as the season went on. And part of that was morale with this team. And the morale took the biggest hit on the defensive side of this ball from this squad. A historically bad defense for CUC last year, one of the worst in school history, second worst nationally in almost every single statistical category on defense. And the great news for CUC is it is a brand new defense on that side of the ball. A lot of new faces. Your returning players are some of your best players from that defense. And the biggest story around this team, one of the biggest stories in the conference, reigning 2024 Assistant Coach of the Year in the NAC, Charlie Druick, flipping away from St. Norbert's and now coming to Concordia, Chicago as the Cougars' new defensive coordinator. There is a lot of excitement surrounding just how much this defense could improve.
Yeah, and you look at what first-year defensive coordinator Charlie Druick did last year against CUC. He shut this offense out. So he's a big, big pickup for this CUC squad and this coaching staff. You look at the Cougars on defense, like you mentioned, a historically bad season last year. They had the second worst defense in the entire nation in all of Division III. There's going to be a lot of changes, but during this stretch of preseason, head coach Chase Hankins said, listen, we know we lost a lot of faces, but we brought back the right people, and that is the biggest thing with this defense. Going to be a very, very telling sign early what this defense is going to look like this year.
Absolutely. Concordia, Chicago, a lot of excitement, a lot of energy coming into today's matchup with Minnesota Morris as these two teams get ready to kick off their season. And both of them looking to pick up a season-opening win for different reasons, but they both want it. So, Dominic, over on your end, what do you think Minnesota Morris has to do to get the job done here?
I think they got to start fast. I think they got to quiet this crowd. This is a Morris team that wants to come in here in the first ever matchup between these two teams. Yep. That's another big point. These two teams have never seen each other, so it's going to be a different dynamic between these two squads. But I think if you're Morris, you got to have a fast start, especially offensively. If you can quiet the Concordia defense early and really get them on their heels, make their morale shrink, I think you're in great shape.
100%. I think it's almost the flip to the response to that from CUC's end. That's the key to them picking up a win today. A strong defense early on, especially in the first half. I mean, that's where the most questions surrounding this team have been. It was the biggest struggle for this team last year. You'd come out into a game, maybe the Cougars have a chance. 5 minutes in, you're down 21-0. That was the biggest problem for that team last year. If you can have a strong defensive first half, show your team, show pretty much everyone that, yeah, we have a new defense. Yeah, we can stack up against other teams now. That will do so much for the round, gives the offense a chance to breathe, to not have to press as much. And I think if the Cougars can get that done, that'll do a lot for their chances of picking up a win today. But we're about to get going for that season opener for both of these squads. Concordia Chicago Cougars taking on the Minnesota Morris Cougars in just a couple minutes for the first time in both these schools' histories right here in River Forest, Illinois, right here on the Cougar Sports Network. So don't go away. We'll be right back with that matchup in just a couple minutes. Hello, Cougar Nation, and welcome back to the Cougar Sports Network. I'm Jonathan Shear here with Dominic Leocani, and Dominic, big day coming up for both these squads. We covered it in preseason as the captains head out to midfield for the coin toss. Cougars will receive to start the day, and we say Cougars, we're talking about Concordia, Chicago there, because we're prepping up for some Cougar-on-Cougar violence in River Forest today.
Yeah, this is the first time these two teams are ever going to see each other, so this should be a good matchup. And talking with a couple of players you did before this matchup during the week leading into it, some of these guys maybe feel a little slighted by Morris. Morris feels like this might be a game where they can come in and easily get an easy non-conference win here in River Forest. There's a chip on these guys' shoulders for real. I just got here, obviously. I haven't been here too long, but you can tell just walking in and the aura, if you will, around these guys. They're hungry. They know what happened last year. They know they had a bad defense. They know they weren't really able to get it done all too well on the offensive side of the ball when they weren't in the red zone. They feel like they're coming into this game disrespected, but hey, 2 new coordinators, a second-year head coach has these guys in the right direction. Let's see what changes here today.
As the Cougars team hungry to have a good year, hungry to play some good games and win some football. As we get ready to go, it's Christian Davis out to kick off for the Minnesota Morris Cougars as that ball took a fall, so he'll have to reset it, and it falls down again. So Davis having some trouble getting his ball up on the tee. Back to receive for the Cougars. It's going to be number 8, William Henson, number 88, Kevin Lawson, to kick off the day for CUC. As Davis gets lined up, checks in with his return team. And we are underway for Cougar football in 2025. That's received by Henson on the far side. Henson cutting up the sideline. Henson! And a strong return to kick off the season for CUC up to the 35, and that's where their offense will start the day.
And that's big. That's where you want the momentum to start on the kick return. Make a statement, right? And that's a great play by Henson to get around a defender on the far end, slither his way up a couple more yards, and now you got pretty decent field position right at the 35-yard line in your own territory. That's where you want to be if you're Colton Bosch in this offense. And looking at him from a year ago, an all-conference honorable mention, he's a guy that comes back with a lot of experience. Look for him to be a pivotal leader on this team.
First play of the year for the Cougars. There's a snap handoff to Jerron Brown, bulldozing his way up the middle for a 7-yard gain.
So you look at this running back core for the Cougars of Concordia, Chicago. It's going to be a confusing day there. But both Brown and Henson come back from a year ago. Brown last year, 8th in the NACC in rushing yards. He is a major get-back on this offense that desperately needs a spark.
Second down, snap, Bosch dropping back, flags out. Bosch lets loose down the right sideline. Incomplete, out of bounds. And I'm pretty sure that's a free play. So that'll be a first down for the Cougars.
Yeah, it looked like Dylan Young on the near end with Dayton Ulrey on that defensive line. Jumped a bit early for Morris. Or did they pick up the flag?
It actually doesn't look like there's a flag at all. Coach Hankins is talking with his offense. We're going for 3rd and 3. No free play. No gain on the incomplete pass. Bosch gets the play call in from Coach Hankins. 2 receivers left, 1 right. There's the snap. Bosch hands off to Brown, wrapped up before he gets to the line of scrimmage. Minnesota Morris holds the Cougars to 3 and out to start the day, and we'll see our first action from Dennis Vanderplow as he comes out to punt it off.
It's a great play there by Gregory Oman, the 5'10 senior. Hit the gap hard, read it well from Brown. He knew exactly where he was, and now it's a quick 3 and out for CUC. Not exactly the start you wanted, especially on your own turf.
And Vanderplow punts that away. Good punt from Dennis, and the punt is muffed. And the Cougars returns coverage team gets a big tackle. That's going to pin Minnesota Morris at the 25. That is a huge punt from Dennis Vanderplow, just for his own morale coming into the year. Dennis punted a lot last season, 55 punts through 10 games, and he struggled a bit. Only 32 yards per punt. Wasn't his greatest season. That right there, strong punt from the junior, and Minnesota Morris is going to start 1st and 10 from their own 25. Bryson Drake with his offense out on the field for the first time today. Drake takes the snap and runs it off on the run option to Chenanga brought down after a short gain, 4 yards on the play.
We were talking about it before the game, but Bryson Drake really is a dual threat. Saw a little bit of action in his true freshman year last year, but he's a guy that if he needs to use his legs, he can.
Mm-hmm. Strongest part of his game is that running game, but he can throw the ball too. 2 running backs in the backfield, 2 receivers right, 1 left. Drake IDs the blitz. Drake takes it, pitches that out to way away. It brought down at the 33. So that's a short 3-yard gain. Cougars defense forcing a 3rd and 2.
Yeah, Oscar Way. This is a very young running back group here for Minnesota Morris. You got a sophomore and a freshman anchoring your run game in the back. But I've been impressed with the 2 touches that I've seen so far. Pretty explosive guys that aren't afraid to take hard contact.
3rd and 2, and I mean, you got to expect a run coming in from Minnesota Morris. Or are we going to see our first air action from Bryson Drake? They stack the box. Drake takes a snap, hands it off to Chenanga. And how about that Cougar pass rush? They break through the O-line, get to the running back, and bring him down before he reaches the line of scrimmage. And Dominic, we might be seeing double because both of those offensive possessions for these squads go the same way and they end the same way.
That's Mikel Harris and Brandon Shipp right there. Johnny on the spot. Read that run perfectly, and that is massive. That is exactly what you want to see, especially with how much the defense struggled last year to set the tone on the first drive and cause a 3-and-out of your own. Massive.
I mean, last year, it was that ability to break through the offensive line that was a big struggle for the Cougars. As that punt is a strong punt. That's going to get all the way down to the 12-yard line. Trevor Cockerill is going to pin CUC deep in their own territory.
Yeah, and I think Concordia, Chicago, it was Damaris Dumas who was lined up back there, and he was near the 25-yard line. He was not expecting that ball to get as deep as it did.
Yeah, it was some strong punt.
And it's not like the wind is howling out either there. That's just a great punt by Cockerill. And that's big now for Morris's defense because you pin Concordia inside their own 20.
And now Colton Bosch going to have to try to help his team march downfield. Bosch takes the snap. Bosch is going to take it himself up the middle. And he'll be stopped after a short 2-yard gain.
Tried to get a read on the option there, it looked like, and Bosch just couldn't find a hole. He had a little sliver of daylight in the B-gap, but other than that, as soon as he got wrapped up, he knew he was hit hard and he was going down.
2 receivers to either side for CUC. There's Wes Jackson in motion. Snap is bobbled by Bosch. He picks it up, and he's going to be brought down for a 1-yard loss. Low snap from the sophomore Matt Godar. Godar in his first year at center for CUC.
Yeah, and this O-line for CUC, lots of turnover, probably the most turnover on this team. It's not a very deep group, but they're still getting used to the offense. These guys are still getting used to each other. But this early in the game, you can't have that happen.
So it's 3rd and 11. Snap. Bosch dropping back, looking right. Lets it rip. And Jackson can't bring it in. It's behind him. He slides down as he tries to cut back. It's going to be incomplete, and it's going to be a punt from deep in their own territory.
So 3 straight 3-and-outs. So the defense, like we've mentioned in the open, is doing its job right now. They're setting the tone on either side. So now the question is whose offense can break out. I feel like between these 2 teams, 1 or 2 big plays is really going to open something up.
Vanderplow sends that away. It'll drop down around the 43. And here we go. Big return coming from Dino Villalobos. And Villalobos all the way down to the 21. You know what? I didn't even notice that on the roster coming into this game. Villalobos played against the Cougars in his last time out on the field. Played for Benedictine back in 2024. That was a season finale for the Cougars. Transfers over to Minnesota Morris and picks up a big punt return to bring his team right into the red zone.
Well, he muffed the first one, and this one he looked a lot better. Got inside the 20, now red zone cooking here for Morris.
Drake hands it off to Chenanga. Chenanga to the left side, brought down at the 10. It'll be second and short for Minnesota Morris. I mean, you just mentioned it, Dominic. One big play might be all it takes for this offense is to break through, and wasn't even with the offensive group out on the field.
Maybe that's it. Maybe a punt return is what sparks something for either of these sides. And right now, if I'm Morris, I'm feeling very, very good about myself. Second and fairly short, and I'm deep inside my enemy territory. This should, if you're Morris, you have to have this for a touchdown here, just to spark something.
Drake keeps it himself. He fumbles the football. And it's fallen on top of by his own line, but Bryson Drake, first keeper of the day. And it's going to bring his team back a few yards.
Well, a nice job adjusting there from the O-line. I think that was Dylan Packer that fell on it, the left guard. But that's massive now if that for CUC here. You needed that stop. You needed that loss of yardage. Now the question is, can you keep it to at least within a field goal attempt?
3rd and 8. 2 right, 1 left. Snap. Drake dropping back, looking to the right, rolling out, lets it rip over the outreached arms of Trent Roden. And it'll be 4th and 8.
And that's not a badly run play there by Minnesota Morris. Bryson Drake had all the time in the world in the pocket, able to get mobile to his right. He just overthrew his target, Trent Roden. And that's another true freshman on this Minnesota Morris offense. Again, these are two fairly young teams going at it. These are two very young teams. They're going to have to feel each other out a little bit, and especially the underclassmen that haven't seen as much action as other veterans on their respective teams. It's going to be a feeling out process for both of these squads.
First field goal attempt of the year for Christian Davis. Kicks up, it's low, and it is no good. Barely makes it to the end of the end zone. And this Cougars defense comes up big when they need to.
And I don't think anyone got a piece of that.
It just looked like a low-line drive.
Just a low-line drive that Davis might have just muffed.
And, I mean, Christian Davis, he's a freshman. That's his first field goal attempt in his college career.
And that's tough, too, especially in an environment like this where the pressure's on, where your team's relying on you to put the first points up on the board, not just for the game, but for the entire season. That's not easy to do as a freshman. He's got to go back, try and collect himself a little bit. He's already got guys talking to him on the sideline right now. Hey, let's settle down. You're good. You're going to get more opportunities.
Tough break for Minnesota Morris, but the Cougars offense will take over at their own 20-yard line. There's Jackson in motion again. Handoff to Jerron Brown. Tries to muscle his way up the middle, only able to pick up a couple yards.
I guess who's right in on that action? Chase Meyer. I tell you what, very impressed so far. I know we're only a couple of drives in for either side. Very impressed with the defensive line for Minnesota Morris. They are meeting these running backs right at the line of scrimmage. There's only been 1 or 2 plays where we've really seen CUC able to pick up 5 or more yards with the run game right now.
I mean, Coach Hankins said it about his defense on CUC. We kept the right guys. It's got to be how Marty Hoffman feels about his defensive squad. As Bosch is under some pressure, Bosch rolling out to the right, trying to figure out something to do with it, and that is caught down at the 25 by Wes Jackson.
Really nice patience there from Bosch. And, of course, the 2-time UMAC Defensive Player of the Year in pursuit on him, and it looks like we have a Minnesota Morris Cougar down.
That's Colby Schaefer, one of the starting corners for this Minnesota Morris squad. But, I mean, yeah, that's the first reception we've seen of the year from Wes Jackson. First team all-NAC tight end from CUC last year. Picked up the highest honor of anyone on the team, and he had a great squad. We saw him use a lot in the red zone, but it's really those short yardage opportunities, those safety nets that he provides for Bosch. That's the reason he's an important part of the squad.
No doubt. And I want to take a look at the numbers right now because we're through 3-4 drives here. -3 yards for Morris, -1 yard for CUC. These offenses have been very, very stagnant right now. I think if you're CUC, you just saw the passing game work. Now, obviously, you had to be patient and get a man open late in that possession. But still, if you can get the ball in the air and then let your run game work in the other half of the field, I think you'll be just fine.
Bosch, lots of time, lets it fly downfield, incomplete. He's looking for Jackson Martinez. And that'll be 3rd down.
Jackson Viemeister, the cornerback out there for Minnesota Morris, just a heck of a play defensively. Read that pass like a book, jumped right in front of it. It looked like Bosch underthrew it just a little bit. And if he throws that an inch or two higher, he's got a good chance of finding his wide receiver.
Vanderplow out for his 3rd punt of the day, picks up the low snap. And that's going to be muffed again, and the Cougars have it! Juan Garza lets it slip through his hands, and CUC makes a big play.
And that's a massive break for CUC. That's the 2nd time we've seen a punt muffed by the Cougars of MN Morris. And this one is costly. I don't know what the returner was thinking there, to be completely honest with you. It looked like it was Garza on the return, and he just muffed it. It was a last-second decision of, hey, am I catching this ball or no? You got to be decisive. You got to know right away. I mean, if it's going to come down to being that close and you've got defenders rushing you 3 or 4 yards away before you're picking up the ball, you got to be thinking poison.
Cougars, big break for their offense. They're into enemy territory for the first time today. Jackson moves to the left. Low snap again. Bosch picks it up. Bosch under pressure. Bosch escapes it. And he'll let it fly down to Wes Jackson on the near sideline. Jackson brought down at the 25, but there is a flag in the backfield.
And from the body language of CUC, I think this is coming back.
And I guess we'll get a holding tagged on Ezekiel Pearson. And that's what it is. Biggest offensive play of the day for either squad going to get called back. And just after the Cougars catch their big break, they're going to be pushed back onto their own side of the field.
That's a great throw there, too, from Bosch to find his favorite target in Wesley Jackson. Jackson's been all over the place here early.
I mean, yeah, you got a hold on Zeke Pearson there, too, but also under pressure from Chase Meyer chasing him down. So it'll be set 1st and 20 now from their own 44. Bosch, empty backfield, takes a snap under pressure, lets it fly, caught downfield by Jaden Taylor, the junior, with a big play, and the Cougars are knocking on the door of the red zone.
What a throw by Bosch. My goodness, let it fly, threaded the needle, and finds his man Taylor downfield. 5'8" junior, not the biggest frame, but he snuck through the secondary, able to make a great catch. He was covered tightly. That is not an easy throw to make if you're Bosch, and he just threaded the needle perfectly. Now you're cooking near the red zone.
1st and 10, snap handoff to Brown, up the middle. Brown makes a cut, still going past the 20, and brought down at the 16-yard line. He muscles his way for a 7-yard gain into the red zone. And you look at this wide receiver core for the Cougars, for CUC's Cougars, it got gutted after last year. Jace Levi, Devin Bledsoe, Henry Jones. All of your receivers are gone. But it's not all freshmen. It's a lot of guys who've been biding their time on the sidelines, waiting for their opportunity. Jaden Taylor's one of them, and he got it. Now Bosch out to the right, trying to escape, lets it fly out of bounds.
Well, he was going for his favorite target again, Wesley Jackson. Had about a half second of time there in that window to make a spectacular catch, but the throw just a bit too out of his reach. And I like the aggression from Bosch there. I don't mind it, especially when the D-line up front is pressuring you that much. This O-line needs to try and give him just at least a second or two more.
There's a snap. Taylor in motion. Bosch keeps it himself, and he's going to go nowhere. Brought down right at the line of scrimmage, so it'll make it 4th and short for CUC. And it looks like Coach Hankins is going to keep his offense out on the field.
And I like this play early. It's aggressive. Don't get me wrong. It's 4th and still some. But this early in the game, you want to make a statement. You want to score on your home field first. This would be a massive play for CUC.
Brown in the backfield. 3 right, 1 left. Snap. Bosch keeps it himself. Bosch still looking for somewhere to go. Lets it fly. Incomplete. Looking for Jackson in the end zone. And it's going to be a turnover on downs. Cougars can't convert.
Well, there's JT Garza. Big frame, 6'4", junior with experience. And to be completely honest with you, I understand that Jackson is your favorite target out there. But he's covered by 3 guys in the corner. That's a tough throw to make. They're just trying to keep it or try and find some kind of daylight on the outside. Instead, you turn it over. This isn't the worst thing in the world, though. They're still pinned deep in their territory as Minnesota Morris.
2 right, 1 left for Drake. Cougars showing blitz. Drake takes the snap. Drake looking to the right. Drake's going to keep it down the sideline. Brought down in a big way at the 20.
And that is a massive hit for Austin Jackson. Defensive tackle, a senior. Just bulldozes Drake and came out of nowhere from behind. And the line did a nice job of slowing him down, but Drake on the play action, we're going to see that a lot today where he's going to try and use his legs and create.
4 receiver set, 2 to either side. Chenanga in the backfield. There's a high snap straight to Chenanga, brought down with a 1-yard gain is where they'll spot it. But again, that Cougars run defense meeting him at the line of scrimmage.
It was Devine Shearer, and then Brandon Shipp. Again, Shipp in the action right there. That was a high snap. Not what you want if you're Lucas Tauber for MN Morris. And then CUC reads it like a book, hits the gap hard. And like you mentioned, Jonathan, this run defense for the Cougars of Concordia, Chicago, has been fantastic to start.
3rd and 7. There's the snap. Drake dropping back. Lets it fly. Incomplete. Airmails it over the head of his tight end, Carter Watness. That's going to bring it to another 4th down, and the punt team's on their way back out.
Free safety, Mikkel Harris, in pursuit of that ball. If that ball's just a touch lower, there's a chance there for a CUC pick. But, hey, you'll take another 3 and out, and you'll take another punt. The offensives have just been incredibly stagnant. Now -3 total offensive yards for Minnesota Morris.
Back to punt again is Cockrell. Back to receive. It's Henson, nearly blocked. That'll get past midfield, drops down, and rolls all the way to the 29. Cockrell's been getting some great bounces on these punts.
Hey, I was about to say that is an MN Morris punt bounce, or that's an MN Morris bounce all day, and that's the second time we've seen that from the punter and Vanderplow. First one he just booted high and far, and he caught everyone off guard. This one just took a really friendly bounce and rode that sideline on the far side.
Still not the worst field position for Concordia Chicago. They head back out at the 30-yard line after their last offense possession where they had the more yards gained than any other possession for either team. In motion, snap. That's Redmond keeping it himself, trying to take it himself, only 2 yards. Jacob Redmond into the game at QB, and This is something that we did see last year from this Cougars offense. Last year it was Troy Prattley, who was your number 2. But Chase Hankins loves having his number 2 option at QB you can throw in on some plays to open up the dual threat.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially when you see Redmond's legs as well. He's a guy that's versatile, can get around the field easily, and he's gonna get another chance here. But I don't mind this here from Chase Hankins. When you have the personnel, you might as well use as much as you can just to give your opponent some different looks and try and confuse them a little bit.
2nd and 8, Redmond looking left, lets it fly to Lawson. Lawson brought down after a decent gain. It'll make it 3rd and 2 at the 38. And now we're going to see Bosch subbed back into the game.
With the way this is going here, we're just under a minute and a half left here in the first quarter. Still no score. You have to feel like whoever strikes first in this one has a very good shot of coming home with the win. We have not seen anything incredibly impressive from the offenses other than that huge throw from Bosch earlier in this one.
And there's a catch made downfield by Randall. He's still fighting and chopping all the way to the 50-yard line. Big gain for CUC. They convert on 3rd down, and it makes it 1st and 10 right in the middle.
Big first down conversion there for CUC. Randall made not 1, not 2, but 3 guys miss, cut up field, big yardage, and now you're in Minnesota Morris territory or close to it. This is where you got to convert.
Bosch dropping back, slips out to the right, lets that fly, incomplete, misses a wide open Derek Porter. And it'll be 2nd and 10. I mean, not the end of the world, but man, that was a great opportunity for Bosch.
But I tell you what, I think Bosch is going to look at the tape and say, I want that back, because he kind of got caught. Was he going to run past the line of scrimmage and take it himself, or was he going to try and take the shot downfield? He had his man wide open. There was no question about it. He had all the room on the sideline in the world as well. But Bosch, he just got caught up in between the two, ultimately made a bad throw. That play, don't forget that play.
Bosch empty backfield again. Lots of time. Lets it fly. That's caught at the 47, 48-yard line by Randall. So it's a short 1-yard gain is where they'll finally spot it. That makes it 3rd and 9 at midfield.
And I say don't forget that previous play on the Bosch miscue, because you never know what that play could eventually lead to. Could that potentially be a score? Could that have been the way the Cougars get into the red zone for the second time today? Who knows? But now you're facing 3rd and 9. You're still in enemy territory. How do you respond here in the next quarter?
And as we head out of the first quarter, these two teams catch a break. They'll flip sides. But you go back to 2024, tell anyone watching those Cougar games that you're going to have an opening quarter where you hold the opposing offense to 5 yards. The Cougars' defense coming out strong on both ends to start the day. But for Concordia Chicago, exactly what they want to open up their season.
Yeah, and we've talked about it. We've touched on it so much, but it was such a historically bad defense last year for CUC. This is a really, really fresh, nice change of scenery for them. Like Coach Hankins said, yes, they lost a lot, but what did they do? They kept the right people. They brought the right guy in, and the assistant coach of the year in this conference, Charlie Drewick. And you can tell already the mindset is completely different for these guys.
I mean, you look at it, the bar it's really low.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cougars, their own bar that they've set is much higher.
Exactly.
And they're meeting that right now. I mean, this is what happens. You get a defense who is hungry to play well. They're hungry to play some good football, and they get a great mind behind them on the sideline, and Charlie Drewick playing fantastic football to start off their season, and it's giving their offense time to figure things out as well. Offense back out onto the field, 3rd and 9 at midfield. Bosch has 3 receivers to his right, 1 to his left, Jerron Brown in the backfield. And the officials finally clear some stuff up. And we are underway. 3rd and 9. Morris shows blitz. Bosch under pressure. Hit as he throws, and it's picked off by Chase Meyer. Meyer still rolling all the way down to the 12-yard line. And the Minnesota Morris defense comes up big.
That's the biggest play of the day so far. What a play by Chase Meyer. Not a guy you're always accustomed seeing pick off balls like that, but right place at the right time. Good pressure from the front line. You called the blitz immediately. Bosch just had nowhere to go, threw it into no man's land, and that was basically a plate of cookies put on a platter for Chase Meyer. And now all of a sudden, the script is flipped here in the first half.
1st and 10 in the red zone. Drake takes a snap, hands it off to Way, brought down after only 1-yard gain. I mean, Colton Bosch, fault him for the inaccurate throw, walloped as he let that one rip.
No doubt about it. And again, that's the inexperience we were talking about with this offensive line. They're guys that they'll admit that isn't the deepest group on this team. So Bosch isn't going to have nearly as much time in the pocket as he wants. What I said earlier, trying to buy him a second or two more in the pocket, if you can just give him that much more time, Bosch is going to have, even if it's just a fraction of a second to make that decision, Bosch is good enough of a quarterback where he can get a throw off.
2nd and 9 at the 16. Snap. Drake looking to his left, trying to do it himself, still going, brought down at the 7-yard line.
And that's the kind of playmaker that Bryson Drake is. None of his targets on his reads were open. Made all of his reads, said, you know what, I'll just do this myself. And, you know, right now, when you look at him and the way he plays, he reminds me a lot of either a Justin Fields or a Lamar Jackson in the way that he uses his legs so well and early in the play.
Yeah.
If he sees his reads aren't there early, he's just going to take off.
I mean, he's a QB, but the legs are his favorite option. He loves to run. I mean, you see that looking at his stats from last year. An all right year in the air for Bryson Drake, a great year on the ground. He loves to run. He loves to look to his legs, and with the day he's had passing so far, you can tell why. With a couple airmailed throws for Bryson Drake, and I think he's yet to even have a completion past the line of scrimmage. But, yeah, he's a great threat on the ground. Last year, again, we talk about it, completely incomparable defenses from last year to this year for CUC. Different players, different defensive coordinator. The Cougars would get cooked by running QBs. I mean, you look to Robbie Michael in that Lakeland game. He put up 300 yards in the air. He put up 200 yards on the ground. He's not the only threat on the ground who burned this CUC defense. So that's something that has been very effective against the Cougars. Obviously, Minnesota Morris has absolutely no idea what to expect from the Cougars defense coming into this game. The closest thing you get is by looking at St. Norbert's defense from last year with Coach Druick at the helm. But
right, that's the big game film that you can really look at and say, okay, how much of this can we compare to what we're actually going to see?
And even then, your difference, St. Norbert's totally different personnel to what Coach Druick's able to work with this year for CUC.
Right.
It's hard to game plan for that, and clearly the Cougars have also been game planning for a running QB.
I think when you look at Bryson Drake, the way he's able to use his strong suits, that's just the sign of a veteran head coach. Marty Hoffman in his 8th year. You got a veteran offensive coordinator and Hunter Glenn. They know the strong suits of their guys. They know that, hey, we know our quarterback uses his legs well. Why are we going to try and reinvent the wheel here?
Drake hands it off to Way up the middle. And the Cougars get the stop on 3rd down. Way brought down at the 6-yard line. It's going to be 4th and 3, and that offense is staying out on the field.
And that's Austin Jackson again meeting the running back at the line of scrimmage.
Cougars just not letting Minnesota Morris break away for any decent gains.
And the trend here in this one, and certainly here on 4th down, it could be broken with the announcer's jinx, but when teams get in the red zone, they have not been able to convert. It was the opposite last year when CUC was in the red zone. This year, so far, not a great start.
Big 4th down, Drake looking to the end zone, incomplete. Looking for Manny Guy, his number 1 option, and it's just over the head again. Some great coverage in the secondary, too, from Damaris Dumas, but, yeah, they go to the air and can't get it done again.
And that's a clear 50-50 ball,
Yeah.
right? That's a designed play that it's either touchdown or bust. And Dumas, that's the second time we've seen him make a really great play in the secondary today. And this one comes at arguably the biggest moment in this ball game so far. The freshman on another freshman. That's a freshman on freshman crime, and that's a lot to ask from Manny Guy. A 50-50 ball in there in the corner on 4th down. Now CUC, though, pinned deep in their own territory. At this point, it's just about getting past that 20-yard line, then the 30-yard line. Build momentum, stack good plays.
Hand off to Brown, trying to roll into space. Can't get any, brought down, stopped at the 6-yard line at the line of scrimmage. So they'll do 2nd and 10 from the same spot.
And that's the best offensive opportunity I think we've seen from either of these teams today yet. We've had a couple of plays where CUC has had a shot at the end zone, but that there from Minnesota Morris was their best chance of the first half so far. And there's a couple plays that both of these teams are going to watch the tape after this one and look back at and say, we really should have capitalized there.
There's a snap. Bosch looking deep, looking for Randall! Off the fingertips and incomplete.
That should have been a free play because it looked like the D-line jumped early. And that's why Bosch, I think, wanted to take a shot downfield. Again, he overthrew his man again, but there was definitely movement on the line. I don't think that we're going to see a flag here again. That's the second time we've seen that.
And you saw Bosch chirping with the officials at the end of that play.
And to be honest, if I'm Chase Hankins here, I'm not happy.
Yeah. I mean, the Cougars now, you take a deep shot like that on 2nd down because you think you have a free play. You don't, and now you're 3rd and 10 within your own 10-yard line. Bosch takes a snap, under pressure, lets it fly, and just throws it away out of bounds.
And it looked like Bosch might have had Randall in the middle of the field just past the 35-yard line, but he didn't see him in time, and Randall had to break off of his route just to try and find some space to create an open target for himself, and another 3 and out. And I think CUC there is kicking themselves a little bit, not only because of the no call on the jump at the line, but there you had opportunities, and again, we're going to see the punter come out in Vanderplow.
This is a tough spot to punt from, right backed up against the goal line. Vanderplow takes the snap, gets it away. It's a low punt, and it'll take a Concordia roll all the way down to the 43.
Could not have asked for a better scenario there if you're CUC. Punt almost blocked, but that's such a tough place, especially when you're right up on your goal line. The rush was there, and Vanderplow, give him a lot of credit for getting that boot off. And we've seen that's now the 3rd time today that we've seen a punting team get a really, really friendly hop.
I mean, Vanderplow, he's had a great day punting so far. That average, it's getting dragged down by one great punt return. The rest of them, they've been some great punts. Now, Way breaks free upfield. Biggest gain of the day for Minnesota Morris. And they're into Concordia, Chicago territory at the 43.
Well, if that play tells you anything, the Cougars of Minnesota Morris only had 12 total rushing yards before that play. You can double that now. Great breakout there from Chenega. And now Minnesota Morris starting to knock on the door of the red zone here.
I mean, it's all coming through that run game. Again, only 3 pass attempts from this squad so far, all of them incomplete. And there's a snap. Drake hands it off to Chenanga. Chenanga stopped for a short gain, picks up 2 yards to the 41. 2nd and 8 now.
And I think with the way that this ball game has trended so far, with the on and off passing game for each team, I think the running backs are going to be the biggest factor here, especially in the second quarter, for who's going to strike first. Chenega is a young guy. He's only a sophomore, but he's not afraid to take hard contact, and he keeps churning the wheels after contact.
2nd and 8 at the 41. Split backfield of Way and Chenanga for Drake. Play in motion, snap, Drake keeps it, lets it rip, and batted down by Mikkel Harris. Mikkel Harris, a nice play as he cuts it down. That could have gone all the way to the end zone if that gets past him.
Knockmoose almost had his first reception, and it would have been a big one. He had green grass and an end zone right in front of him. Like you said, great defensive play to get a piece of that.
And that's just a play. If you're Drake,
right.
You're not even looking at the defensive
Right.
formation. That's the plan. That's your primary read. You snap it, you wait a second, you let it rip. That's some great defense from the Cougars. 3rd and long now for Minnesota Morris. It's a high snap. Drake under pressure. Drake can't escape, and he's brought down at the 42. And there's a flag out at the end of the play. Minnesota Morris celebrating. And it looks like it's going to tag the Cougars with what might be a face mask, and it is. Concordia Chicago called for a face mask on the stop. That's a huge break for Minnesota Morris.
And I think they got Darius Mays for the face mask. It was right at the end of the play. The flag, like you said, was late after the tackle, but there was a face mask.
I mean, credit that to Bryson Drake. He goes down when he gets wrapped up first, 5 yards back, just a simple sack. He keeps fighting, and I mean, he creates the opportunity for that penalty flag to come in. So it's a break for Minnesota Morris, but it wouldn't have happened without such a great, running QB to keep chopping his feet and stay up.
Exactly. And that's the advantage of having a really good running quarterback who's got the legs, who's used to running like a running back.
1st and 10. Everyone to the right. Snap, handoff to Chinanga up the middle. And that's a solid gain of 5 yards up to the 22.
It just seems like both of these teams have really, it's been self-inflicted wounds for the most part. I mean, penalty flags, a face mask there that could have turned the ball over. Interceptions. Both of these teams, like I said, they're going to look at the tape after this game and they're going to say, oh boy, we got to clean some stuff up. But that's expected from the first game of the year. And that's on both sides.
Yeah. 2nd and 7 for Minnesota Morris. 2 receivers to either side. Chinanga in the backfield. High snap. Drake has to roll out to the right immediately. He's going to take it himself. Lot of room to pick up the first down.
It's a great adjustment from Drake. Another high snap from his center, Lucas Tauber. Corralled it with one hand and said, you know what, I'll just do it myself. I got a bunch of green grass on the right side. I'll pick up the easy first down. And now Minnesota Morris really threatening here. But let's see if CUC can stand tall deep in its own end again. We've seen it before early in this ballgame. We know the defense is there this year. The question is, what's different on this drive for either side?
Snap, Drake looking right, lets it fly, and that's caught for a touchdown. Minnesota Morris converts a huge catch by Ryan Knockmoose for tutty number 1 of the year, and it's 6-0 Minnesota Morris.
That's a great play around his defender. Goodness, that's another 50-50 ball. We saw Drake try it earlier in this one with the freshman Manny Guy in the other corner. This time, it's Knockmoose, the 6-foot senior, reaching around his defender, making a great play. And I said it feels like whoever strikes first in this one is going to have all the momentum right now. All momentum Cougars of MN Morris.
PAT is good. Davis splits the uprights to make it 7-0, but heck of a play for the first score of the day for either squad, as you see that right now. And, yep, end zone fade to the right. Knockmoose makes the play. I mean, you're talking about a heck of a grab. I mean, that got thrown up there. That looked like an incompletion, and Knockmoose just under such tight coverage. That man in coverage turns around. That's batted down. That's incomplete, but Knockmoose stays with it, catches it in right on his right hip, literally the only spot it could get through. And, man, an incredible play by Minnesota Morris. And like you mentioned, Dominic, you break through once, everything goes your way with how these offenses have been playing. And right now it's all on Minnesota's side.
Yeah, who knows? This could be a snowball effect for Minnesota Morris. This was needed for them. Whoever struck first in this one, going to feel really, really good about themselves. But right now, it's about how CUC responds. Are they going to be rattled by it? Are we going to see Bosch up the tempo, be a little bit more aggressive? Who knows? But right now, all the momentum and high morale for the Cougars of Minnesota Morris.
Davis out to kick it away. Henson and Lawson back for the return. That'll go to Henson on the near side. It won't even get to Henson. That's Josiah Lugo, the freshman out of San Antonio, who makes the catch on the return squad, and he's going to bring it all the way up to the 33.
Seen a couple of nice returns so far from CUC. First return of the entire game earlier from Henson, and this one doesn't even get to him in the back row. Give the freshman a lot of credit. He doesn't have the biggest frame either, but that's why he's there. He's speedy, he's fast, he's quick. Yeah. Able to break through, pick up a couple of extra yards, get past the 30. Let's see what Bosch can do here.
Cougars looking to attack, looking to respond. 1st and 10 at their own 33. Martinez in motion, handoff on the go to Brown. Brown with space on the far side. Brown roll into the 45 and down.
We've seen a lot from the passing game today from Bosch. It's good to see Brown get the football and get in the positives of yardage. He was in the negatives in 8 attempts, and on his 9th, he finally breaks through, finds a seam and a crease outside the numbers left. And maybe that gets him going, because usually for guys, it's one big play that stacks momentum for the next.
Snap. It's a handoff to Henson around the edge. Henson still going down to the 39, and that's exactly what Henson brings to the table.
And I love that Charlie Clark is using both of these running backs. They're very, very deep in the backfield, this CUC team. And Brown, who was such a threat last year, even when he's not on the field, Henson's such a threat with his wheels as well. And honestly, if you can keep stacking little wins like this, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If I'm Charlie Clark here, I'm going right back on the ground.
2nd and 5. It's Jacob Redmond under center. Snap to Redmond. Hands it off. And they're still rolling around the edge. Is Lawson staying on his feet? Is Lawson. Kevin Lawson turns a loss into a 10-yard gain down to the 29.
He was dead to rights in the backfield, was Lawson. But what a move upfield from the sophomore. Cut through 2 defenders. Made a nice cut in. And now the Cougars really starting to feel the momentum. You can feel the crowd, the juice in this place start to rise.
The ground game working for Concordia Chicago. 3 players, 3 wins, and it's Bosch back into center for Concordia, who have 2 receivers to either side with Brown in the backfield.
They got to get going. They're running down on the play clock.
Snap. Bosch dropping back, looking right, stepping up, and lets that fly off the fingertips of Lawson.
And there it looked like CUC's offense was rushed because the body language of Bosch saying, come on, we got to get going here. They need to reset here, but find something early. And still, I go to the ground here still, Jonathan, to be completely honest with you, until Minnesota Morris can prove that they can stop the run game. You've had 3 successful runs all to the outside. Lawson proved he's got good wheels and good agility. Keep trying to use the body, stack up small wins, gain 3 or 4 yards of play.
They'll look outside. Lawson on the screen. Lawson trying to cut to the middle. Can't get there, and he's finally brought down at the 26. So it's a short 3-yard gain. Makes it 3rd and 7.
And I don't necessarily hate that play because Lawson has proved if you give him even a centimeter of space, he has a chance to make a play. So now here, is where you need to get a little bit risky because you gotta go for the yardage here on third down. But if you trust your guys in the backfield enough,
Bosch sends that downfield. First down and a little bit more for Jerron Brown.
And there's that trust in the backfield. I know that's a passing play, but when you've got a wide receiver that can do, or a running back, that can do both and be a dual threat on the outside as well, that's a massive play. And now knocking on the door in the red zone here is CUC. If you want my opinion, with the clock ticking down to under 4 minutes here in the first half, this has to be a score.
Hand off to Henson, looking for a gap, looking for somewhere, and he gets to the line of scrimmage, maybe a few inches on the near sideline. First time the Cougars have attacked the edge and been stopped this drive. It'll be 2nd and 10 from their own 16. They're going to give Henson a loss on the play. 2nd and 11 from their own 17. Henson still out in the backfield. 3 receivers left, 1 right. Here's the snap. Bosch to the right, batted down by Meyer. Chase Meyer almost thought he had another pick right there.
And I think they were trying to go to Jerron Brown again from the backfield, cutting back up on a route. And Meyer, like you mentioned, so close to 2 picks here in the first half. And that one was right in his fingertips, but I don't think he was anticipating it with how close he was to the throw. And now Redmond again is going to come out. And once again, Charlie Clark is going to give this Minnesota Morris defense a new look here on 3rd and long.
Officials blow the whistle to stop play. Minnesota Morris going to take advantage, make a couple subs. Looks like there's some difficulties with the game clock. Officials trying to get that reset.
Yeah, they're trying to reset it because the clock continued to run even though it was an incomplete pass. So they get everything fixed.
Redmond's going to take it himself up the middle. Redmond trying to fight his way forward, brought down at the 12. So it's going to be 4th and 5, 4th and 6. And we're going to see the kicking team out onto the field.
You need points here. Even if it's only 3, just to get on the board is huge.
Diego Marquez out for his first field goal attempt of his career. Kicks up. Kicks good. 3 on the board for CUC. And it's not a touchdown, but they get points on the drive to the red zone, and it's now a 7-3 game. Diego Marquez replacing the graduated Ryan Auer at kicker this year for Concordia. And he converts on his first field goal. And, I mean, you were talking about it earlier when it was Christian Davis out there, Dominic. That first field goal attempt at the college level, it's always a little stressful.
Oh, absolutely. And that's a different situation, too, in the sense of, hey, listen, this is a guy that is not only attempting the first points for his team in the ball game, but it's the first points of the entire season. Yeah. There's a lot of mental things you're going through there in your first ever collegiate field goal attempt. It's not easy.
I mean, it's not a touchdown. They're still losing, but it is huge that the Cougars are able to convert and pick up points as a response to that initial score from Minnesota Morris. The offense able to work their way downfield and get it through the uprights. As out for the kickoff is Vincent Pegenkopf. Return. Still coming down to the near side. Juan Garza with a great return all the way to the 34.
Garza does it all, doesn't he? Great defensive back, but then when he gets on special teams and he gets any sort of space, he can create and play make. And there's a reason he's one of the big key returners on the defensive end for Minnesota Morris coming into the year. He's going to be a big staple both on special teams and anchoring that secondary.
Bryson Drake will take his offense back out to the 34-yard line. First and 10 at the 34 for Minnesota Morris. They stack the box. Drake, snap, looking left, having to roll out under pressure. Drake still looking for somewhere to go, and he throws it away out of bounds. Great rush from the left side on the CUC line and great coverage in the secondary.
Yeah, that play all started by Stroher. Great pursuit, put a lot of pressure on Drake, and it's a guy that's tough to keep up with his wheels. But when you can cause a throw like that, you got to be feeling good.
Second and 10 now. The handoff is bobbled. Drake has to figure it out himself, and he's brought down well beyond the line of scrimmage for the first sack of the day for Concordia.
And that's yet another case of a bad snap and a bad attempt at a handoff. And we've seen a couple sloppy plays like that on both sides. And Drake lucky to just be able to hang on to that ball and lose 5 yards, because that could have been disastrous. And we saw a play very similar to that earlier.
It just looked like on that snap, I mean, it's a bad snap. It's wide for Drake, but his headspace, he's still thinking, I've got to make the handoff.
Right.
So he's trying to look to hand it off, and he doesn't even have the ball in his hands. Pits off, bobbles. And it's a great job from the Cougars rushing team, too, to get on Drake and don't give him anywhere to go. I mean, we've seen where he gets caught in the backfield on a bad snap and stuff, and he's able to create stuff out to the outside. The Cougars, they rush in from the outside, block off his opportunities there, and he actually does get brought down in the backfield. That's our first time out of the day from Concordia. Chicago trying to slow down the clock, trying to give their offense some time if they can get the stop here on third down.
Yeah, why not? You got the timeouts this late in the second quarter. Use it. You don't have the football coming in to the second half, so they're trying to get a big stop here and at least get another 3, hopefully for their sake, 6.
Third and 15 from the 28.
And another timeout.
Minnesota Morris don't like what they see out on the field with third and 15. They're going to take some more time for Hunter Glenn to figure it out.
I mean, you look at the numbers between these two right now. Concordia Chicago is heavily favored in total yards right now. They're outgaining Minnesota Morris 117-46. They've got better yards in the air. They've got better yards on the ground. But at the end of the day, the biggest things that have shot CUC in the foot have been definitely the turnover and the interception from Meyer, but the 2 penalties for 25 yards. That hurts as well. Both these teams self-inflicted wounds early. And again, that's expected in the first game of the entire season. But when you look back at the game film, I think especially CUC is going to say, okay, we had a chance here, we had a chance there. We need to learn how to capitalize on those as we get later into our season.
Third and 15 snap. Drake looking to the left, lets it fly, and it's caught by Knockmoose, left wide open on the sideline. And Coach Druick is fired up at his secondary.
Hagen Washer, the nickelback for CUC, got turned around. That was his man in Knockmoose. And he didn't recognize that that ball was in the air until it was coming down towards Knockmoose. And he said, and Knockmoose said, I'll take that, thank you very much. And yeah, you can tell CUC and their coaching staff not entirely pleased with the secondary there.
I mean, that's an easy pass to defend, just a lapse of awareness.
Exactly.
From the secondary.
And that's another example of a play where you look back at and say, we probably should have had that one as well.
Plays on offense, whiffed passes, plays on defense, broken coverages. And now Minnesota Morris is going to have a lot more time to drain down this clock in the first half and even put up on some more points on the board before they go into the break. Another timeout. This time it's Concordia Chicago. They get their team out on the field first. Probably just wanting to slow the pace down a bit, get your defensive time to reset mentally after a mistake. And you still have, 2 minutes. Actually, not a time. That's a 2-minute warning at the end of the half. But, you still have a lot of time left in the half. It's 2 minutes. You can get a 3 and out, maybe take a couple shots. But, missing that play costs an offensive opportunity for Concordia Chicago. 1st and 10 from the Cougars 46. Concordia Chicago Cougars. Minnesota Morris, snap, Drake rolling out to the right. Looking for somewhere to go. He's going to tuck it and run. Drake brought down the 46, but there's a flag down at the 50. And the Concordia Cougars are celebrating. Looks like that's going to be a holding, and it's going to bring it all back.
There's a big blindside block, too, behind the play. But this is going to go as a hold on Minnesota Morris, and that's another break that the Cougars catch on CUC side. It's been the self-inflicted wounds, and that's only the first penalty that we've seen on Minnesota Morris today. I've been very impressed with how disciplined they've been, both up front at the line. Now, don't get me wrong, there probably should have been a couple of flags earlier in this one with the D-line jumping earlier when CUC was backed up all the way on its 6-yard line, but that's only the first penalty called on the Cougars of Minnesota Morris today. And, if you're head coach Marty Hoffman, you got to be happy with that, because usually in the first couple of games, especially in a season opener like this, when teams are still trying to get the rust off, you're going to see a lot of penalties. Yeah. But we have not seen that healthy of an amount today.
1st and 25 now. Drake gets the snap. He'll take it himself up the middle. And he fumbles it. He loses it. And Concordia Chicago has it. The Cougars force a turnover. And this defense is still coming up huge.
It was a great play by Drake early in the play. He faked the option. He took it himself. He found a hole. He tried to cut to the inside, and then he just lost the football. He didn't secure it. And for Concordia Chicago, you got to give a ton of credit. I think that was that Phoenix Clark? Or was that? It was a number 10. But nevertheless, now all of a sudden the Cougars cooking in enemy territory.
Colton Bosch under pressure, and he's going to be brought down from behind. 2-yard loss on the sack.
And in this one, it hasn't felt so much as the defenses have been incredibly dominant. It's just been the offenses making careless mistakes.
The Concordia offense probably shouldn't have an opportunity with this much time on the clock, but Bryson Drake trying to do a bit too much from way too far out. And then sack for Colton Bosch, 2nd and 12. They're going to keep play moving. They're not going to try and drain that much time. Bosch, quick pass to the right. Chase Meyer gets up, deflects it again. Colton Bosch hangs his head.
That's the 3rd time that Meyer has had a paw on the football today. He already has an interception that came earlier in this one. He broke up a big pass earlier in the second quarter, and that's another big pass breakup. He's all over the place. He is not your typical DN in the sense that he can play like he's in the secondary, like a linebacker as well. He's so versatile. That's why he's a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year in his conference.
3rd and 12, Bosch. Lots of time. Lets it fly. Martinez That's a pass interference. And that is going to be a big break for Concordia Chicago.
That pass was overthrown by a good 5 feet, Jonathan. But Concordia catches another break. Aiden Hatchett, the freshman, late contact, knocks down the receiver, and that is a big break for Concordia. And if you're Minnesota Morris, that's the worst thing that can happen on this possession, because now there's only a minute left in the half, and Concordia's got a chance to potentially take a lead here with a touchdown.
I mean, this is eerily similar to how Minnesota Morris got their first touchdown. Stop on third down, you get a personal foul, 15-yard gain, pushing right up to the door of the red zone. Now Concordia Chicago has that opportunity. 3 receivers right, 1 left. There's the snap, handoff to Brown. Brown looking to the edge, can't get there, and it's going to be a 3-yard loss.
And you can tell in between drives, that was Gregory Oman who made the stop. But Marty Hoffman, who essentially acts as the defensive coordinator for this Minnesota Morris team as well, was not going to have any of the run game coming into this next drive. He was firm with his guys. He said, we cannot let them beat us on the ground outside.
30 seconds on the clock. Bosch under pressure. Bosch brought down again. Just holds on to it for way too long. And that's shades of 2024 Colton Bosch as he's brought down for a huge loss.
And you mentioned it, Jonathan. He had all the time in the world. His offensive line actually did a great job of giving him time. But you got to give the secondary for Minnesota Morris a lot of credit, because Bosch goes through his reads and he just can't find anyone. And I think he might have went down a little too easily there. He might have had some room to try and scamper out to his left. But, I mean, when you have a Conference Defensive Player of the Year in pursuit on you, there's not really much room to run. And that's the 3rd time today that Bosch has been brought down in the backfield.
I mean, we saw it a lot last year. It's probably the weakest part of Bosch's game last year was his pocket presence and his pocket awareness when under pressure. You just hold on to it for too long. You run out of time. And like you mentioned, maybe had a bit of space to try and escape to the side, but you just wait too long and suddenly everyone's on top of you. You have nowhere to go. And it's 3rd and a country mile for Concordia Chicago. CUC, with 27 seconds left in the half, is sending a full receiver set. No one in the backfield, 3 left, 2 right. And small game clock adjustment. We're going up to 28 seconds. Get those extra tenths. There we go. 3 left, 2 right. Bosch alone. Snap. Bosch dropping back. There's the late rush. Bosch trying to escape. Lets it fly. Oh, and it's dropped by Randall. The initial target was Martinez. Martinez deflects it up. Randall's there, and he can't bring in the second chance.
You mentioned the deflection. I think that slight change of directions is what caught Randall off guard at the last second. And Bosch does a nice job in the backfield of escaping pressure. That pocket collapsed quick on him, especially with that full wide receiver set. And now you have to boot it away here if you're CUC. And this last 19.9 left here in the half, you just got to make sure you pin Minnesota Morris deep in its own territory. Don't let them get any kind of look downfield, but I wouldn't be surprised to see if they just take a knee.
Vanderplow. Nice punt. And just a bit too much of a roll into the end zone. So that would be a touchback. But like you mentioned, Dominic, 12 seconds left. Minnesota Morris, not much time to do anything. And you get the ball after the half. Probably won't see Coach Hoffman's team do much with it.
And I agree. Here, you got to play it safe here if you're Marty Hoffman. You have a 4-point advantage going into the timeout. Now it's about how do we look towards the second half? What can we do better offensively? One, with fixing our own miscues. But 2, trying to get the passing game going.
And yep, there's that kneel out. We had the halftime. Minnesota Morris 7, Concordia Chicago 3, after a back and forth, low-scoring half as these two defenses come out, do their job. These two offenses struggle in their first half of action. Back this season, Concordia, Chicago, they're making a lot of progress down the field. Haven't been able to do anything with it. Minnesota Morris, they've created some breaks for themselves to catch, and they've converted. It's a 4-point lead for the Cougars. And as we head to halftime, these two teams will catch a breather in the locker room. We'll catch a breather here at the Cougar Sports Network. We'll be back a few minutes before half to recap you on all the action from half number 1 and get going for half number 2 of today's Cougar on Cougar violence between Minnesota Morris and Concordia Chicago.
University Chicago is a Christ-centered Lutheran university where truth, freedom, and vocation form students for lives of influence and service for the common good. Our university offers a wide variety of undergraduate and graduate degree options that are available in person and online. That means we have a program designed for you. Whether you're a high school student, an adult returning to complete your degree, or someone looking to enhance your credentials and prepare for career growth. As a member of this university community, you'll also find support in your spiritual and personal life so you can grow in the faith and discover ways to serve others. To start your next journey with us, visit cuchicago.edu today.
What's up, Cougar Nation, and welcome back to River Forest here at Concordia Stadium. Concordia University Chicago taking on the Minnesota Morris Cougars for the season opener for both these squads, and it is a tight one after one half. Low scoring 1-2, 7-3 in favor of Minnesota Morris through half the game. I'm Jonathan Shearer here with Dominic Liaconi. And Dominic, close half between these teams. We talked about some great defense, some sloppy offense. But at the end of the day, it's a 4-point game. And both of these teams, it's a game opener. You're figuring things out. You got some directions to go in for the second half. Where do you think both of these teams need to go in the second half?
Well, to be completely honest, I mean, if you look at the numbers right now, they're very misleading. Because even though Minnesota Morris is leading this game 7-3, they're getting outgained by over 50 yards right now. And if you want my honest opinion for both of these squads, they got to clean up the self-inflicted wounds. 4 combined penalties for over 50 yards. And then you take a look at the interceptions, the fumbles, high-low snaps, and it's been happening on both sides. We've seen bad snaps from both centers. That needs to get cleaned up, number one. Take care of the football. Secondly, I think both teams need to try and establish their run game just a little bit more, especially Minnesota Morris, even though they have the options outside with their receivers. They need to get their guys going, and I understand it is a very young core in the backfield right now. Again, we've talked about it. It's a sophomore. It's a freshman back there. And for a team that is trying to rebuild and do what they did from a couple of years ago after an off year by their standards last year, you got to get these young guys involved. If you can get them more touches, get them more looks, especially later in downs to give them opportunities to pick up first down conversions. Again, it's about stacking that confidence. It's about stacking wins. First down leads to another touch. All you need is 3 or 4 yards in every play. Just keep chipping away. Both of these teams' run games need to get going. You look at the total rushing yards between these two. Just 109 total rushing yards combined between these two teams. 70 for Concordia, 39 for Minnesota Morris. And again, the numbers, especially on the offensive side, incredibly misleading because Minnesota Morris has not had as many opportunities as Concordia has had.
Yep.
But they've taken advantage of the smaller window that they've gotten, and ultimately that's why these Cougars in white have gotten on the board at a higher rate than what CUC has done.
And it's a 4-point game. I mean, you've seen it. The Cougars, they've gotten into the red zone again and again and again. They've gotten beaten out of it, whether it's Minnesota Morris Evans or self-inflicted wounds. A lot of it's self-inflicted wounds, like you talked about. But, I mean, you talked about that rushing game. These defenses have played very well to their own credit, especially the rushing game from both of these defenses. I mean, let's flip it over to Minnesota Morris's defense and that pass rush. Now, let's just look at Chase Meyer for a little bit. I mean, he's coming off of a down year, in quotes, by his standards. Didn't win the UMAC Defensive Player of the Year, was just second-team All-UMAC. To kick off his senior year, Chase Meyer has 2 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 1 interception, 2 pass breakups, and a QB hit in one half of play. That's a good stat line for a defensive line player, maybe through 2 games, and he has it in one half. Chase Meyer has been playing out of his mind so far today, and he's been a huge part of why that pass rush and that run defense has been so strong on Minnesota Morris's end. They're breaking through the offensive line quickly, and they're making smart plays, too. He has a great awareness of where Colton Bosch is and what he's doing with the football.
Well, he's just so dynamic, right? And we talked about him not necessarily being your typical defensive end, right? He's a guy that'll break up passes. He can play like a linebacker. He's so versatile. That's why he's won his conference's Defensive Player of the Year twice. And, by the way, you mentioned that tackle for loss we were talking about before the game. I believe that's a school record now for him for tackles for loss.
That is a school record.
So congratulations to Chase. But when the times get tough, you look at the guys who have the veteran leadership. This is a senior who has been here, and he knows exactly what the expectations are around his staff, his squad. It's no surprise that we've seen him all over the field today. It really isn't.
I mean, it really is. I mean, the veteran leadership on this Minnesota Morris defense, it's Meyer and Gregory Oman both of them have come up huge today. They have done exactly what they need to lead this defense through the first half. Now, JT Garza, he's had a good game. He's made a mistake in the punt return game, so not a perfect game from Garza, but he's played well too, to his own credit. I mean, this defense, the veterans have played well on for Minnesota Morris. They've also played well for Concordia Chicago. It hasn't been as a star-studded of defensive plays. We've seen a lot more of those new players on the defense, where the freshmen or transfers or guys who've been riding the bench for the last couple years, making a big impact on the defense.
Right, and we talked about it during the break. Both of these teams are going well beyond their two deeps, and I think that's a testament, especially for CUC, going well into their bench. That just shows that there's so much more deep, and especially on the defensive side of the ball. When you had such a bad year last year of allowing over 50 points a game, which will never play, but when you got guys that you can rely on multiple off the bench at multiple positions, that's huge.
Out to kick it away is Pagan Cup. He'll send that to the middle of the field. It's picked up by Guy. Guy up the middle, fighting for some gaps, brought down at the 37. Good return from Manny Guy to get this half going, and Bryson Drake will lead his offense back out onto the field.
Nice play on special teams there from Logan Camps, another true freshman from Phoenix, Arizona. Able to get the Guy quick, and now this is going to be a telling sign early. What adjustments did Minnesota Morris make at the halftime break?
And one of those adjustments is quarterback. Bryson Drake is not under center, as there's the pitch. It's bobbled, but Way is able to bring it down. Knocked out of bounds at the 41. Hayden Charbonneau at QB for Minnesota Morris. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't think that Coach Hoffman and Coach Glenn would make that change. I'm not surprised to see it coming in from the Minnesota Morris sideline.
And they got to be careful of taking better care of the ball. That was almost their fourth fumble of the day. They've given up the ball twice on turnovers. 3 total fumbles. They've only recovered one of them, so they got to be careful taking care of this football here.
2nd and 5, Cougars showing blitz. Snap, handoff to Shenanga. Shenanga brought down behind the line of scrimmage.
What a play by Logan Camps to set that thing up. And that was Devine Schreerer, who got a big hit in on Shenega, but that play is all set up by Logan Camps. They showed the blitz early. They got there, and now it's 3rd and 8. They need a big gain here if you're Minnesota Morris.
3rd and 8 snap. Charbonneau looking central, looking deep, having to roll out. Tucking. He's going to tuck it and run. Charbonneau, first down, Minnesota Morris.
And Charbonneau not wasting any time himself. 6'2 sophomore at Barnum, Minnesota. Played in just 2 games last year. He actually came out and punted one away against Carleton. But this is where he's really starting to see steady action. I mean, he had 15 completions last year, threw for 186 yards. Now this is where he's got to prove himself. He made a smart read there, found a gap.
Pitch out to Wade, and he's going to get edged out at the 50-yard line for a 2-yard gain.
So early out of the halftime break, the biggest thing standing out with the run game is they like the pitch outside, especially to the right.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting to notice, when they pitch, it's going to Way. When they run from the pocket, when you run just straight handoff, it's Shenanga.
Mm-hmm.
Two different skill sets.
And that's a read, too, that if you're CUC here, you got to be picking up on that right away. You got to – KYP, know your personnel, is probably the biggest thing.
And this Cougars defense getting flipped around. Snap, handoff up the middle to Way, goes nowhere, and the ball's out. The ball is on the ground. The Cougars say they have it. And they do. Concordia Chicago's defense comes up big again. Louis Mobley with the fumble recovery, and Concordia Chicago forces another turnover.
Well, what were we just talking about? The fumbles. That's the fourth time that Minnesota Morris has lost the football today, and the third time that they've turned it over on a fumble. And that's just a young freshman running back that can't hang on to the ball. And Louis Mobley, as you mentioned, Johnny on the spot, a guy who transitioned from the linebacker position to the defensive end position this year. Put the big hit on, able to recover the football. And now if you're Concordia Chicago, first possession of the second half, let's see what changes on this side of the football.
Bosch back under center for Concordia, lines up with a shotgun position. Low snap, handoff to Brown. Brown looking for a gap. That'll be a short 3-yard gain. This is such a change of pace from last year for Concordia Chicago. Last year with this offense, the mentality was, and it was the right mentality, we have to score every single time we touch the ball if we want a chance at winning. And now, just 1 year later, so far this game, it's been the defense picking the offense up and keeping them in this game. There's a straight handoff to Brown, who breaks through for a gap for a 6-yard gain. It'll make it 3rd and 2 at the 40-yard line.
And if you're Concordia here and your first-year offensive coordinator, Charlie Clark, keep feeding the beasts in the backfield. You have the personnel. You have a deep running back core in Brown and Henson looks like he might get an opportunity here. But like I said, don't reinvent the wheel. If the run game's working, keep chipping away, picking up easy first downs every 2 to 3 plays.
Coach Hankins calling in an adjustment to the play. 3rd and 2, snap, Bosch to Henson, up the middle, and he's not going to get there. Picks up a yard, makes it 4th and short. And we're going to have to see if Coach Hankins wants to keep his offense out. Dennis Vanderplow take a step back into the squad on the sideline, and Coach Hankins is going for it. I mean, like that call, you're talking about it coming into the half, Dominic. You get a first down, you get another first down. You got to build that momentum. 4th down conversion could do wonders for this offense. 4th and short, blitz coming. Bosch lets it fly, incomplete. No flags on the play, and the Cougars turn it over on downs.
And you can hear the Concordia faithful is not happy at all with this crew, because even there is an injured player down right now, but it looked like there was a lot of contact there.
And I mean,
on Jackson Martinez.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we can get a replay on that one just to kind of see what happened in the end there. But I mean, Martinez, it was on the mark and then just coming around the backside on the defense. It's contact before. That's not always automatically a pass interference.
Oh, this would be a massive loss here. This is Chase Meyer on the field right now. And that's a good sign, just to get him back up under his own power. That's exactly what you want to see if you're Minnesota Morris. You cannot lose your anchor defensively. And to see him walk off under his own power and to get up right away, that's a good sign. That's a sign of a veteran guy who's been around the block, who knows a thing or two of playing at this level. And there's no way you're keeping him out of this one with how much of an impact that he's made on this ball game.
Absolutely not. I mean, that's a heart pounder right there for Minnesota Morris. Then he'll have a break as the offense comes out on the field. Something, I mean, we were talking about that. Maybe a missed call. The call Concordia doesn't like at the end there. Coach Hankins was talking with the line judge the entirety of that injury break. So the Cougars coaches not too pleased with that no call as well. And there's a handoff. Charbonneau hands it off up the middle. Chananga breaks free for a 10-yard gain and a first down.
That's what Minnesota Morris wants to see from their young sophomore running back. Keep getting the guys touches. I mentioned, especially for Minnesota Morris, their run game needs to wake up a little bit. They've been able to get deep plays in the air, but can they work out of the backfield as well and do what CUC is doing and chip away?
Pitch out to Shenanga, tripped up, a nice chase down on the edge by Caden Strohr.
That's the third time we've seen a pitch off to the right there to a running back in this half alone from Charbonneau.
So it's 2nd and 9 at the 49. And, I mean, we mentioned it earlier. Minnesota Morris is switching up. That was Shenango on the pitch. So they're not going to let that personnel get caught in that routine. So it's great offensive coaching to not let that happen. 2nd and 9. 1 man left, 2 right, 1 man in the backfield. Snap, Charbonneau hands it off up the middle. Shenango chopping his feet, and he's finally going to be stopped at the 45. 3rd and 5 at the 45. As Cougars defense, they have been forcing Minnesota Morris to 3rd down a lot today. And Minnesota Morris hasn't done a great job on 3rd down. 2 for 6 on 3rd down conversions so far today.
This would be a huge one here. It's 3rd and manageable. But CUC needs a big stop here, and you can hear the crowd getting into it.
Snap, Charbonneau looking right, lets it fly! Caught! On the sideline! Coach Druick coaching his players saying you got to get that shove out of bounds. I mean, I don't know what it is. That's the 2nd time today we've seen a ball that should be defended towards the end zone, and you focus a bit too much on the player and you don't focus on where the ball is coming in from.
Yeah, Manuel Mendoza, the sophomore, with a heck of a play on the outside, just outside the numbers right, and that's a big pickup for Minnesota Morris. If they score here, this is where the momentum could really start to build.
1st and 10 at the 29. Cougars showing blitz. Snap, Charbonneau. It's going to be a free play.
I think they're going to get someone off early. The question is, who jumped first?
And officials already signaling for offsides.
And I think it looks like. Yep. It looked like both teams were kind of backing up in a sense of, is that on us? Is that not on us?
Blitz from CUC coming in a bit early. So it's a free 5-yard gain for Minnesota Morris. Puts them with 1st and 5, knocking on the door of the red zone. Halfway through the first half, snap, Charbonneau to Shenango, up the middle. Shenango breaks free for a 1st down and some change up to the 14. Back into the red zone for the 4th time today. They've had a tough time in the red zone. 1 for 3 on red zone possessions so far. One of those, of course, being a touchdown. 1st and 10 at the Concordia 14. 2 receivers right, 1 left. Low snap, Charbonneau looking left, lets it fly. Incomplete, and they're going to throw the flag for pass interference. It's Jonathan Unks who's going to get tagged with it. And another mistake on CUC's end is going to put Minnesota Morris right on the door of the red end zone. Jonathan Unks talking to the official. I mean, he doesn't like the call. Unks, we saw this a lot last year. He's an aggressive corner, which makes him a good corner in that he'll get pass breakups and such. It does also open him up to more pass interference calls as he gets one there. So Concordia, tough break. Minnesota Morris, a great opportunity just 3 yards out from the end zone.
And that's one of those plays where it looked like it could have been 50-50. Pass interference, no pass interference. The contact was there, and the call made.
Shenango cuts left for the gap. Not going to make it to the end zone. Only picks up a yard. 2nd and goal, 2 to go.
If Minnesota Morris can get a running back in the end zone here,
I think
Shenango or Way.
I think that's what we'll see. They've been able to get Shenango up the middle a good bit this drive. And that's likely who they'll go to.
Well, wouldn't be surprised to see another 50-50 ball like we saw earlier.
And it off to Shenango! What A defensive play. Julius Davis straight through the offensive line for a 2-yard tackle for loss.
And now with it being third down, now you got to start thinking, if you're Minnesota Morris, you're looking out to either Manny Guy or you're looking out to Knockmoose for a 50-50 ball. And we saw it earlier.
This is why you have Charbonneau at QB instead of Bryson Drake. Drake has struggled mightily in the air so far today. Charbonneau, the better of the two at passing. So will Minnesota Morris look there? They have a split receiver set, 2 to each side. Chenenga in the backfield, 4 yards from the end zone. And we're going to get a timeout called by Minnesota. Third and goal, 4 yards to go. And Minnesota Morris, they've started to catch up with the Cougars in terms of offensive gains. Obviously, they've had that one extra possession this half, but they've found ways to create yards this half. And you talked about that run game. They've found a way to get the run game working. They're starting to break through up the middle, not just to the outside. And so it's allowed them to march down the field, along with every so often 50-50 ball to the sideline that gets caught. And I think that's where the Cougars defense has struggled the most today, is on the sidelines in pass defense.
When you look at the numbers from last year for Minnesota Morris, 23 for 37 when inside the red zone. Comparing those numbers to today in a very small sample size, 1 for 4. So not the start that the Cougars in white necessarily wanted, but this could be a huge momentum swing right now if they can find the end zone.
Third and goal, snap, Charbonneau hands it off to Chenenga, and how about that Concordia defense? Another 2-yard tackle for loss. Breaking through is Devine Shearer, and it's going to be 4th and goal from the 6.
And it was Washer and Shearer again. So now here's a tough decision, because earlier you had a missed field goal
as Christian Davis misses
from Christian Davis.
And it looks like Coach Glenn doesn't want to roll the dice. They're going for it.
They're going to go for the points here. Now don't be surprised if we see a ball into one of the corners of the end zone here.
4th and goal, snap. Charbonneau just chucks it up out the back of the end zone. And it's a wasted play. The Cougars hold the Cougars. Minnesota Morris on 4th down. It's a turnover on downs.
I think there was a miscommunication there with Charbonneau, because he thought Knockmoose was going to be in the far corner.
They've been running that end zone
right,
out, that fade all day.
But Knockmoose didn't run the fade.
Yep.
He did not fade. He cut back in. And now, once again, CUC is going to take over deep in their own territory. But how about this new rejuvenated defense under first-year defensive coordinator Charlie Durek? You could tell these guys are energized playing under him. There's a mentality here. You could see how much these guys care.
Handoff on the jet sweep. Able to get up to the 9-yard line is Kevin Lawson. So it's a short gain, only 3 yards. But it's something, gets you a bit further out from the end zone.
And I don't mind those jet sweeps.
Yeah.
They've been working on the outside. We saw it in the middle of the second quarter for CUC. They can mix that in with a couple of screens, because those have been working as well.
2nd and 7. 2 receivers right, 1 left. Brown in the backfield alongside Bosch. Snap, Bosch hands it off to Brown. Brown finds a hole to the left, to the sideline, and trucks a man for a 1st down and more.
What a hit, and what a play by Brown. Just fearless. Again, that's what happens when you get a veteran running back core returning.
Yep.
But then, I mean, it's the home opener. It's beautiful weather. You're in front of your home fans. You want to set the tone.
Brown again finds a gap up the middle. Another big run, and it's bigger. Brown past midfield to the sideline. He's still going. Can he be stopped? Not before he picks up 50 yards. Jerron Brown with a huge run.
Biggest run of the day for either side. What athleticism from Brown. Broke through a couple of tackles, cut left to right. He used every inch of the field he could. And now the Cougars really feeling good. Massive run.
That's the momentum you want. That's the momentum that they've been looking for. You've been talking about all day, Dominic. And the Concordia Chicago has it inside the 30-yard line. First and 10. Snap. Bosch hands it off to Henson. Henson now to the outside. And he's not going to pick up much. Takes out his own man on the sideline. So it's no yards gained, no yards lost, out of bounds at the line of scrimmage. So we'll get a little breather here. But, I mean, yeah, Concordia Chicago, I mean, you talked about it. These teams need to get the run game going. Clearly, that's the focus from both of these offensive coaching staffs. And it's working for both squads so far.
A 48-yard rush. The longest of the day for either side. And that is massive. And now out of the shotgun here, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Bosch trying to attack the end zone.
Snap, Bosch dropping back, has time, he will, he lets it fly! It's broken up. Almost got to say that's broken up by Wes Jackson.
Oh boy, and Minnesota Morris, their secondary is calling for the trainer immediately.
Colby Schaefer down.
And he took a hard hit. He got tangled up with Wesley Jackson.
And the helmet's off, and not a great sign for this Minnesota Morris defense. I mean, was a good defensive play from Schaefer up on the 50-50 ball. Bats it down to force a third down for CUC.
Now you just have to hope he's okay, and by the looks of it, when he threw the helmet off immediately, and obviously we're not going to speculate injury, but it doesn't look good right now with the athletic trainer immediately being called out. Guys knew immediately that Schaefer needed attention, and give him credit for making a great play. And if he can walk off here under his own power, because it looks like he's starting to sit up. Yeah.
And he'll get off under his own power gingerly. He's frustrated.
But that's still a great sign. Because he took a shot. He really did.
I mean, those 50-50 balls, you go up there. There's a reason that you call passes in football hospital balls sometimes. And that's not exactly one, but still, two guys tangled up in the air. One of them's going to hit the ground harder than the other. Wes Jackson's a big guy. Tough fall for
that's a 6'1", 205 frame going up against a 6'2", 185 frame. I mean, those are two big bodies.
Yeah.
And when you get a collision like that, you just hope everyone's okay. And luckily, he's able to walk off under his own strength.
3rd and 10, Concordia, Chicago. 3 right, 1 left. Snap. Bosch up the middle. Pass is caught by Lawson. He's cutting to the outside, and he's brought down at the 6-yard line.
That's another big break for CUC. Garza caught the turf monster. He hit the deck before he could even get to Lawson. And Kevon just cut up field and said, thank you very much, I'll take that free space. Picks up the first down, 1st and goal. And that's a costly miscue from one of the best secondary backs for Minnesota Morris.
Hand off to Brown. Can't muscle past the 5, and it's a 1-yard gain.
So the trend that we've really started to see now for both sides, getting inside the 10-yard line, they've tried to put the pressure up the middle with the run game, but the D-line for both teams, stuffing the running backs.
Yeah, I think part of that has to go, like you'll see it in football, and the reason you have red zone stops is because there's less space to go downfield. They don't have to send the linebackers back as much, or the secondary. So that does help a little bit from the defense. Part of it's just that the play calling's been great on the defensive end as well. Cougars, Brown in the backfield, left to Bosch, 3 right in the trips formation. Snap, Bosch will throw it. End zone! Dropped by Martinez.
Oh, Martinez had some room. I think that was just a low throw from Bosch. He had him, too, on the slant in. Just kept it too low. It was a smaller window than I think a lot of people will give credit to. That's not an easy throw to make. And CUC not wasting any time.
3rd and goal, 5 yards out. Snap, Bosch will throw. Bosch rolling right, lets it fly. Touchdown, Cougars! Jackson Martinez gets his redemption and picks up his first career touchdown. And how about that for a response, Dominic? You get the stop from 4 yards out, 2 yards out, all the way on your own side of the field, and you march downfield for a touchdown. As Mendoza's out, Marquez is out for the PAT. He drills it. It's 10-7 Concordia.
And how good does that have to feel? And look at Bosch on the sideline getting the fans going as well. That was a big score. They couldn't convert on the play before. He had Martinez wide open in the end zone. It was just a low throw this time. Bosch patient, takes his time again, and has his man right at the goal line. And that's what happens when you get a smart QB with experience that'll wait it out.
I mean, the vibes are high in Concordia Stadium. I mean, you talk about a different feel from a football team. This is not the Cougars we've seen of the past few years. Last year, already said it, it's the offense that has had to pick up the slack. And today, the defense has picked up the slack again and again and again. And they've kept the offense supported enough to finally come through. And that is a huge morale blow. A defensive stand into a touchdown, 94-yard drive down the field. And that is a grind of a drive, too. And Concordia has their first lead of the day.
9 plays, 94 yards, as you mentioned. 8 off 4 minutes and 15 seconds of the clock.
And you look back at those big plays there. Jerron Brown, huge run. Colton Bosch, big third down pass. As tough break for the Cougars. Pagan Cop's kickoff is straight out of bounds, so it's going to be fantastic starting field position up at the 40 for Minnesota Morris. But now Minnesota Morris, they're playing from behind for the first time today. We'll see how that kind of affects that coaching mentality on the sideline. I don't think you'll do much with it until you get into the fourth quarter, until that clock starts winding down. But, I mean, the Cougars, everything going their way with morale after that drive. How can you respond on the other end of the field?
And now Charbonneau, he's going to be tested here too. Again, this is a guy that has not seen a ton of game action. We didn't expect to see him that much, if at all, today. And he gets his number called here in the second half, and now he's got a tall task ahead of him.
Snap, Charbonneau fakes the pitch, looking deep. Gets the check down, and a big hit on the sideline to prevent any more gains. Jordan Lacey lays down the boom.
I mean, that was a hit stick and a half. That was a monster hit, but that was a great play call and a great fake on the pitch. And then Janega did a great job of running that little banana route.
Yeah. It's an 11-yard gain. It's a first down, so a good play to start off this drive. 1st and 10 at the 47. One receiver to either side, stacked box. Cougars showing blitz, handoff to Shenanga, and he's going to get brought down just past the line of scrimmage for a 1-yard gain. And, I mean, we've talked about how great the Cougars have played, but it's the coaching, it's the play calling for this defense that is such a stark difference. Last year, you would be a full game, no adjustments, even if it's the running game dominating the Cougars. Today, Coach Druick, he's clearly prepared, and even then he's adjusting to what he's seeing out there. He's timing these blitz calls perfectly. He's timing when the Cougars need to stack the box perfectly. The coaching is just on a different level this year from last year.
And you can tell the attention to detail has been impressive from both of these coordinators, both the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. For Chase Hankins, these guys, it seems like there is a purpose to every play call. And obviously, you being here last year and you seeing the difference, I'll ask you, just is it how big of night and day is it? Like,
it's totally different. It's hard to find words to describe it. I mean, part of it's I love it as a Cougar myself. Like, I love seeing this, but also just from a football perspective, this is such a remarkable turnaround. I mean, even in the games Concordia would win last year, it was sloppy defense, and it was defensively rough. They won a game against Manchester in week 2, one of their only 2 wins of the year, ended on a missed game-winning field goal attempt by Manchester. I mean, it was never like a comfortable defense. The defense goes out there, you're not comfy. You're not feeling secure. Today, the defense has been remarkable. I mean, you go down to that red zone. We would see red zone stops from the Cougars last year, but a lot of it would be some sort of, if it happened, rarely, it would be some sort of self-inflicted turnover or something like that. Maybe one fourth down conversion, if I remember correctly. Today, you get into the red zone, this defense locks in. It's run pass. I mean, the biggest thing is the pass rush. You didn't see the Cougars getting past the line of scrimmage at all last year. Sacks were non-existent, much less tackles for loss today. That's happening every single play. They're making the life difficult for the running game on the other side. The passing game's tough because you're putting pressure on the QB. It is night and day out there on the field for this Concordia defense. You can tell just with the vibes in the stadium and on the sideline, the players feel it. Charbonneau under pressure, steps up, takes it himself. That's a short gain for the QB, 3-yard rush up to the 49. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You go from one of the worst defenses in the country, the worst defense in school history, and you gut it. New personnel, new defensive coordinator, and it's clearly worked out. Charlie Druick so far looking like a slam dunk hire for this school.
And it's early, but you could tell, and even with me not being here last year and seeing it, you could tell that there's a different energy right now.
3rd and 6. Snap, Charbonneau looking downfield, incomplete.
Flag.
And a lot of flags thrown in late. That'll be another pass interference tagged on the Cougars. And, I mean, that's a tough one to swallow. Probably pass interference, but probably would have been incomplete either way. Watness had a slow start off the line.
And it looked like a high throw as well.
Yeah. Slow start, high throw. Minnesota Morris catches a break. Another self-inflicted error from this Cougars defense. They've been able to pick themselves up most drives this game. They'll have to do it again here.
But they've been able to hold strong. They've only let up a touchdown in this one, and they've been good with the run game, especially when Emmett Morris has been inside the red zone. And we talked about how both teams have struggled with the run game inside the 20. But especially the CUC defense has stood tall.
Snap, handoff to Ware. Yeah, that's a solid gain. Ware didn't have much space, able to pick up 5 on it. It'll be 2nd and 5 from the 35-yard line.
And that's what you need if you're Minnesota Morris here. Just keep churning the wheels. Get the run game going. Really haven't seen a ton from the run game still. If this can be the drive where you get both Janega and Way going and feeling good, at the end of the day, that could be the difference. And especially with now us being here in the 4th quarter, it's whoever's going to thrive here in these last 13 minutes.
Pitch out to Way on the sideline, not going to get the first down. He's stopped 2 yards short as it starts getting chippy over there. It'll be 3rd and 2 at the 30.
And I tell you what, Jordan Lacey is laid down the boomstick now a couple of times. Another guy that was a linebacker last year that's transitioning to a new position. But when you're used to being in that linebacker role and laying down the big hits and meeting guys at the line of scrimmage, he still has this speed and is able to cover guys at the strong safety position, but he also hits like a truck for the outside runs.
3rd and 3, snap, Charbonneau hands it off up the middle. It's not going to be enough for the first down. It'll be 4th and short. And I don't know if you're getting deja vu, Dominic, but this is exactly where the Cougars were their last offensive possession. 4th and short in the opposing 30. 2 yards to go. Offense staying out on the field. Charbonneau gets the play call from Glenn. The Cougars defense has been fantastic in short yardage so far today, and they're going hurry up. They're trying to catch the Cougars off guard. Here's a snap. Charbonneau looking middle, and it is caught for a first down. Catch made by Manny Guy with Jonathan Ungst on his back, and it'll be 1st and 10 at the 26.
And the freshman wideout was hyped, to say the least, after making that play. Showed a lot of emotion, silenced this crowd, and that's the biggest thing for Minnesota Morris is right now all the momentum riding on the backs of CUC. Can they silence this stadium?
Snap, handoff to Shenenga, coming to the left, a lot of space. Finally brought down at the 17. That'll be enough for a first down.
Again, keep the chains moving. Get your run game involved. Try and find some holes on the outside. Shenenga's done a nice job today. You look at his numbers. 15 carries, 45 yards. Only averaging 3 yards a carry. And if he can get that one other big run for 10-plus yards, that could be the difference. It needs to come on this drive.
1st and 10 from the 17. Snap, handoff up the middle to Shenenga, brought down.
But that's what's happening to him. He's getting met right away at the line of scrimmage by the D-line, by the linebackers. Both of these teams in a 4-3. So we're seeing a lot of action up front. And we got another injury.
It's another Minnesota Morris Cougar down on the field. And they're calling for the trainers again. And a lot of that is you're meeting at the line of scrimmage. Great play from the defensive line. What I'm seeing from the Cougars, though, they're just blocking up they're blocking up the line of scrimmage. They're forcing chaos in there. Partially, that was a tackle that Charbonnet got brought down on. Part of it was there's just like 2 guys down on the field in the middle just creating a wall because the Cougars have just gotten aggressive. They're getting physical, and they're shoving guys to the ground in the middle of the line of scrimmage. You're creating traffic. You're making it tough to find a gap. That's what you need to do on the D-line. It shouldn't be easy to find a gap, and the Cougars haven't been letting it be easy all day.
Yeah, and that forces your running backs to essentially try and attack the outsides more. And if you're able to clog up the middle, you make the run game a little bit more predictable for yourselves on the defensive end of the ball.
That's Shenenga who was down on the field.
And that would be a big loss, but thankfully he's back up under his own power.
He was able to get over to the sideline.
There have been you said heart stoppers earlier. There really have been for this Minnesota Morris team. You had not arguably, but your best defensive player in Chase Meyer go down, and now your starting running back go down for a bit. So let's see how they adjust here.
2nd and 7. Charbonneau wide open in the middle of the field is Carter Watness. A busted coverage by the CUC defense. And Minnesota Morris is going to take that lead right back.
And that's a great play call from offensive coordinator Hunter Glenn. Nobody covering Watness, and he had green grass and a bunch of green trees to look at before he trotted into the end zone easily. That's a great play action play call there.
PAT's straight into the line of scrimmage and down. No good. So Minnesota Morris back in front, but it's just a 3-point lead for the Cougars.
I don't even think that ball was tipped on its way
Nope.
up. I think that was just a straight line drive kick right into the line of scrimmage like you said, Jonathan. You don't really see that all too often, but we saw a missed field goal earlier from Christian Davis, and now this time he almost nails one of his linemen right in the back of the head.
Yeah, and they're both for the same reason. Missed field goal, missed PAT. Davis, he's been kicking it low. He's having a tough time lifting it and getting it up. while also keeping that power. We saw in his successful PAT earlier, he got it up, he got it through, but it was weak, it was slow. He's having a tough time figuring out how to make solid contact while lifting it, and obviously he's a freshman. He has a lot of time left to figure that out, so it's not a point of panic for Minnesota Morris yet, but you do got to kind of take it into account. Your kicker, he's struggling a bit right now, and it's cost them twice so far today.
Yeah, and again, like you said, he's a freshman, so they're going to iron out the kinks, but for him, he's just got to try and get out of his own head. He's got to move on. Next play mentality. Who knows? His foot might be the difference in this game.
Kickoff going to get all the way to the 1 yard line. Heck of a kickoff there. Brown has to try and return. It's Henson, actually, and Henson's only able to get to the 14. Man, you want to talk about Minnesota Morris rolls. How about that roll? Stopping all the way down at the 1 yard line.
And there it is. Capitalizing and moving on to the next play. Davis can't convert on the PAT and then makes a heck of a kick there. Again, like I said, maybe that kick is the difference when you pin CUC all the way that deep in its own territory. Now the question is, can the Cougars drive downfield?
Brown cut into the outside, brought down on the sideline. After a 7-yard gain, makes it 2nd and 3 at the 21. Cougars going to try and march downfield. They were able to march downfield their last possession, but now they have to respond. He got all the momentum. You give up a touchdown, got to bring that momentum back over to your side. Second and 3, 3 left, 1 right. Snap, hand off to Brown. Brown trying to find a gap up the middle. Stays on his feet and fights for a first down. I mean, you talk about Jerron Brown. He's quick, he's fast, he's agile. His biggest strength, taking a hit and dodging tackles.
And he does such a great job of staying on his feet and getting those couple extra yards after contact. I think that is probably one of the biggest parts of his game that may get overlooked by his agility and his ability to cut around the field. He does such a good job of absorbing contact and picking up a couple extra yards.
Another handoff to Brown to the outside. And he's going to make it to the 31 before he's knocked out of bounds. So the Cougars, they're content with this pickup for a 5 with Jerron Brown. Just run, run, run. It moves you down the field. It marches you down the field, and you'll take 4 or 5 yards every play.
And again, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. And you're going to see Henson out here in the backfield with Bosch on this play. But if the run game is working that well, you still have 8:50 left in the ball game. If anything, if you're CSU, try and milk as much clock as you can, drive downfield, have another big, long drive like you did with the 4-minute, 15-second touchdown drive. You went for 94 yards. Try and replicate that here.
Bosch looking to throw. Goes to the left to Lawson. Not a lot of room, but he is brought down at the line of scrimmage. Man, that's just a play to the check down for Colton Bosch. Good play to avoid losing anything, but it does make it 3rd and 6.
Well, he certainly lost the shoe there. His cleat came flying off. So he got hit hard at the end, but what does Bosch want to do here? He's got 3 out wide, so.
3 right, 1 left. Henson in the backfield. 3rd and 6. Snap. Bosch hands it off to Henson. He has a gap, and he has a first down. Brought down at the 40.
What a play call there by Charlie Clark. Deception by putting 4 wide, trips out right, and then just deciding to use the pocket created and give Henson the ball, let him do his thing. Again, you don't need a massive bomb play right now down the field. You don't need a 50-yard touchdown throw. You just need to keep picking up first downs, extend the drive as long as you can, get downfield, eat up clock, and try and get on the board again.
There's a handoff again. Henson bouncing all the way over to the right and just fighting to get to the line of scrimmage, which he does. So no loss, but it's 2nd and 10. Ron Brown back into the game for 2nd and 10. Again, 3 receivers right, 1 left. It's now Brown in the backfield to the left of Bosch. Snap. Hand off to Brown. Looking to get to the sideline. Cutting upfield. Jerron Brown shouldn't have gained anything there. Instead, he picks up 8. Just going sideways, sideways, sideways. 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. You get to the sideline, 90-degree turn. Gun it upfield, and it makes it 3rd and short.
And it's the second chance effort that got him that.
Second chance efforts have been keeping the Cougars alive all day. 3rd and short, 3 left, 1 right. Brown in the backfield. Blitz coming. Snap, handoff to Brown, and he fights for it. Chopping those feet for a 5-yard gain and a first down.
Gregory Oman at the linebacker position for Minnesota Morris read that play beautifully on the blitz in. He saw it was a run, but at the end of the day, Brown keeps churning his legs, finds a seam towards the right side. This is exactly what you want if you're the Cougars of Concordia, Chicago.
They have drained 5 minutes off the clock, and they're just past midfield. Motion. Here's the audible. 2 right, 2 left. Brown in the backfield. Snap. Bosch looks right. It's a screen to Lawson. Up the sideline. Pushed out of bounds at the 42. It's another 5-yard gain.
And that's another perfect play call. Keep picking up and chipping away at yards. Again, you don't need a bomb downfield here. And Charlie Clark knows that. This offense knows that. They've proved they can score this quarter. It's just a matter of can they find the back of the end zone again.
2nd and 5. Again, 2 right, 2 left. Snap. Bosch keeps it. Bosch, lot of time, under pressure, rolling left. Lets it fly out of bounds and just chucks it away.
And we didn't see Bosch get that kind of protection earlier in this ball game. His O-line did a heck of a job there, giving him all the time in the world, but at the end of the day, he just didn't have a man open. Went through all of his reads. He maybe had a gap on the left side to try and run, maybe gain a yard or 2, but I think that's the smart play. Stop the clock, settle things back down. It's still 3rd and very manageable here, but you want to convert and not bring it up to a 4th down chance.
3rd and 5. Snap. Bosch to Brown. Up the middle. He has it. Plus more. Still more. Brought down at the 29. Who's going to stop Jerron Brown today?
Well, that's the question of the hour, Jonathan. And he just has done such a phenomenal drive, or such a phenomenal job on this drive alone. He's picked up more than 20 yards on the ground in this drive by himself. And he just keeps churning downfield, giving his offense an opportunity. And here come the Cougars creeping downfield. This is what they wanted to do.
1st and 10 from the 29. Bosch hands off to Henson. Can't find a gap, but he finds a little hole, and he slips up for 1 yard.
And that's where you got to give CUC's running backs credit, because when their first option isn't there, they have some kind of plan B.
Yep.
It might not be in the exact hole or gap that they want. But again, Henson and Brown are so agile that they can bounce around both seams on the field and try and create space, and they've done a great job of that here today.
There's a throw downfield for Lawson. He has it. And forward progress is going to stop him at the 20. There will be 3rd and 1 at the 20-yard line.
Tell you what, that was close to a horse collar. And
yeah,
the CUC faithful,
they didn't like how long that play was.
I think has
going.
a good reason. Yeah, that play could have been whistled maybe a second or 2 earlier.
I mean, they let the players beat on Lawson for 5-6 seconds.
And again, remember, Lawson doesn't have the biggest frame either.
It's a tush push. It's a first down. On the initial call, is first down. Minnesota Morris says they stopped it.
No, they didn't give it to him. They're still a yard short.
That's going to be 4th and, inches.
Well, the question was, where was the ball originally spotted? Because I thought the far line judge had spotted it above the first down marker.
He did.
Beyond it.
And now we're bringing out the chain gang.
And this is smart here. I like what the officials are doing here. You need to do this.
Oh. Not enough. It's inches.
Got to go for it here. There's no question.
No.
With 2:40 on the clock.
Tough.
You can kick a field goal.
You can kick a field goal. But do you want to? Do you trust Diego Marquez or do you trust your offense? And they're going to send it out. They're going to roll the dice on 4th down. 2 minutes and 41 seconds left in the game. Concordia trails by 3. Concordia Stadium's getting loud. Chase Hankins changing the play call. Bosch gives it to his guys. Snap, Bosch, he's going to throw it! Batted away, and it's a turnover on downs. Nick Brandner read it like a book. And Minnesota Morris will take back over.
So CUC still has all 3 of its timeouts, but that is a heartbreaker. And you can't blame Hankins for trying to find his young receiver, or rather, his young receiver in Kevon Lawson, because he's been so effective with the quick slants.
Here's Shenenga. Brought down at the 24. Actually, it's way. You got to get in now. You're going to see it's all run game for Minnesota Morris. They want to run this clock down. Second and 5 at the 25.
I believe CUC just used its first timeout.
I like that. Use a timeout. Try and see how many plays you can stop before you get to the 2-minute warning.
You have to at this point. It's necessary, but this is not going to be an easy uphill battle.
The defense has picked up the Cougars' offense all day. It's been the story of the game. Brand new defense for CUC, and it's played fantastic. You got to come up with that 3 and out here. You got to.
There's a time for it. It's right now, but that first play not looking promising for the defense. And if I'm Minnesota Morris, I'm doing the exact same thing here.
Mm-hmm.
Keep the ball on the ground. Don't even think about giving Concordia a chance to intercept this ball unless it's a quick slant, or I should say a quick screen out, and you got guys outside to block for your guy out wide.
2nd and 5 from the 24. Snap, Charbonneau, tackle for loss! A huge play by Adam Lambaz. He's been quiet today. He's not quiet there, and it's another timeout by Concordia.
And with the way that this Concordia defense has played all day under this new identity with first-year defensive coordinator Charlie Drouet, anything can happen here. It's a loss of 2 to 3 yards. It's a loss of 2 yards. So now it's 3rd and 7. There's still a lot of meat left on that bone to try and gain a first down. This is not a give me here.
You got 7 yards to go, and your running game's been working, but you haven't had that many 10-yard gains.
No, you haven't, and
4 or 5's not going to cut it, and that's about what Minnesota Morris has been getting. This Cougars defense, they've been great on 3rd down today, allowing 3 of 9 conversion attempts from Minnesota Morris. Minnesota Morris, big third down conversion on their last drive, resulted in a touchdown. They need it here. If they can get it here, you probably shut down the Cougars for the day. Cougars trying to stay alive. Biggest third down of the day. Charbonneau looks to the air. It's caught by Watness, and he is going to go to the 30, the 20, and the 5 before he's brought down. And I miss who it was covering Watness, but they tripped at the line of scrimmage right off the bat, and he was wide open.
And Chase Hankins is not happy with the officials because he thought there might have been some pass interference on the trip up. Offensive pass interference, that is. What a massive play, though, by Carter Watness. Big frame with that 6'5", 235 frame. At nothing but an end zone in front of him, and give Jordan Lacey a lot of credit hustling back to make sure that he at least kept him out of the end zone. But now at this point, you only have one timeout left. Or rather, you do have two, it says on the scoreboard, but at this point, if Morris even comes near the end zone, this game is all but over.
I mean, if I'm Morris, I'm not trying to score a touchdown on my first play here either.
Mm-mm.
Grind it out, get a couple yard runs, maybe you get a touchdown on your
Stall
last
the clock
play,
maybe a little bit in the backfield.
The Cougars can only play one timeout. They've only got one card left. You can drain 40 seconds off the clock with every play. Minnesota Morris perfectly positioned to shut this game down.
And that's the biggest play of the day. That's the clutchest play of the day. That's a 72-yard pitch and catch.
I mean, passing game comes up big when it needs to for Minnesota. Morris comes up big in the clutch. Watness, he's been clutch all quarter. Caught that touchdown earlier to put him ahead, then catches what could be the game-clinching catch. It's way in the backfield. Snap, Charbonneau hands it off. Way will be stopped. And we're going to get the timeout from CUC. And that is a third and final timeout from Concordia.
So they have to put up a massive goal line stop here. Second and goal. No more timeouts to play with. And here, to be honest with you, it sounds weird for me to say Minnesota Morris is in a tough situation because you would think all they need is, if this was anywhere else on the field, all they would need is just a quick first down and then just knee it out the rest of the way. Here they can't really afford that. They can just find the end zone again, which I don't think they would mind doing necessarily, but you would much rather play it safer and knee the clock out.
Minnesota Morris, they can drain off 80 seconds. I would bring it down to 27 seconds left before they would have to make the play on fourth down if the Cougars can stop them till then. Touchdown would make it a two-possession game. Snap, Charbonneau hands it off to Wea, and he's brought down.
But now 40 seconds going to come off the clock, and that's going to bring us down to 61 seconds.
The clock is stopped. Wea's helmet came off at the end of the play, so they have to stop the clock, let Wea get off the field.
Oh.
And bring in Shenanga.
Wow. So a break, if you will, for CUC here.
A big one.
The clock stops, and instead of bringing the game clock down to at least 105, it's going to stay at 141.
Coach Hankins and Coach Drew getting upset there. Minnesota Morris tried to get a free timeout. They were bringing their coaching staff and everyone out onto the field to talk to their players. 3rd and short, minute 41 left. You got to go for the touchdown now if you're Minnesota Morris. You can't drain too much clock. Snap. Charbonneau looking for the end zone. Puts it up. It's caught out of bounds. And that's an incomplete pass. That doesn't drain clock.
It does not. It only took 6 seconds off.
And now you're going to bring out
the field goal. So you're going to give CUC a chance on a return potentially. And remember, Christian Davis is 0 for 2 today.
Cougars, they're coming out looking golden no matter what. Unless this is a fake, probably won't be. This is going to be a one-possession game with more than a minute left. Davis failed to convert his last kick. It's up, and it's good. So Christian Davis picks up his first collegiate field goal, and he comes through there to make it a 6-point game.
And it couldn't have come at a better time. And I said earlier that even though he struggled today, his foot could be the difference. Yeah. And now his foot has made it, instead of within a field goal, within a touchdown. Yeah. So if CUC gets close enough here and they have a chance to kick they could have had a chance to kick a game-tying field goal. Now 6-point game, you got to get in the end zone here.
Yeah, I mean, even more honest. I mean, you go back to the drive the Cougars got stopped on 4th down. They started that thing down at the 12 because of a phenomenal kick from Davis. And he missed a PAT, but other than that, he's clutched up in this 4th quarter now, provided Cougars are a touchdown away from tying. Touchdown and PAT away from taking the lead, but it's a tough spot for CUC. We talked about, let's march down the field with Jerron Brown. That's not an option anymore. You only got a minute and 32 seconds left before the kickoff, and they're going to try and keep that in play so that they can drain some clock. Davis back to send it away. It's Lawson and Henson back to receive. And it's a low kick. It'll take a bounce. Lawson picks it up. Lawson cutting outside. Lawson still going! And he's finally knocked out of bounds at the 40. A big return when they needed it. And Concordia Chicago will start at the 40-yard line with a minute 25 to go.
All right, this has to be your best 2-minute drill. I know it's the first game of the season, but this is what you prep for all preseason. You're running quick 2-minute drills. You have specific practices and practice plans built out for moments like this, and we're already seeing a situation like this come into fruition in the first contest of the year. These have to be your best 4 or 5 plays here.
Big plays made for big moments. Cougars need some of those right now in a big moment in week 1. Snap, Bosch, looking left, pass caught by Lawson. He's still on his feet. Lawson's still going. He's at the 40, the 30, and brought down at the 28. Roll Cougs all the way into enemy territory. They're knocking on the door of the red zone with just a minute 17 to go.
Got to get moving here because that clock's going to start. I don't think he got out of bounds.
But the chain gang's having a tough time getting it in place. Gives the Cougars plenty of time to get set up. 1st and 10 at the 34. Snap, Bosch looking right. Caught by Lawson, he drops it. And honestly, kind of okay with that one. Would have been brought down after a 4-yard gain. Cougars can't be too disappointed because it does stop the clock.
Right, and Lawson there too had a lot of green grass in front of him. Was probably going to get swallowed up by that secondary in a couple of seconds later, but still, ball's in your hands, got to come away with it somehow, and he knows that. But again, like you said, not the worst case scenario, still a minute 10 left.
Bosch rolling out to the right, lets it fly. Martinez has it. He's at the 10. He's brought down at the 4. Big moments Big plays, big players, and the Cougars are knocking on the door. Holy cow. Coach Druick starting to get his defense prepped.
And I love that. I love seeing that on the sideline, saying, hey, we know this ball game's not over yet. We know our guys got a chance to score. Now we got to stand on our heads.
And I'll be honest, we did not see any of that from that Cougars defense last year in moments like this. Snap, Bosch hands it off to Brown, turning up the middle, fighting! Cougars get the tutty! Jerron Brown to the end zone! Big players, big plays, in big moments, and it's 16-16.
Wow. What a way to start the Charlie Clark era. OC drew up a beautiful 2-minute drill. He didn't even need 2 minutes for that one. And now a chance to take the lead.
Marquez hits it! Concordia leads, it's 17-16. But this is exactly why Coach Druick was locked in on his guys already. Minnesota Morris still has a minute on the clock.
I mean, guys celebrating for Concordia Chicago on the sideline. They picked up their kicker, Diego Marquez, but this game not over yet. There's still a full minute for Minnesota Morris's offense to get something going. And this game has been completely turned upside down.
And the thing is, if you're the Cougars, Minnesota Morris has a freshman kicker. You can keep the ball outside of the 20 of the red zone. You got a good shot at holding them. And this gives flashbacks to a couple games from last year. Manchester Cougars held it to a game-winning field attempt miss. Also, the Lakeland football game, Cougars, similar situation. Iffy kicker, you're up by less than a field goal, less than a minute to go. That's where we're going to see the defensive differences. Last year in low minutes, game-important moments with under a minute to go, the Cougars' defense struggled. That Lakeland game, prime example of that. How can Coach Druick's defense do with less than a minute to go against this Minnesota Morris offense?
Like we said, Coach Druick, this is a new defensive coordinator. This is a new mentality. He has his guys locked in. You could tell how fierce he was on the sideline as soon as the offense got in the red zone. Say, hey, our guys are going to score here. We have to be ready.
Kicks away. And it's out of bounds. Not what you need. Pagan Cop struggling to keep him straight today. His second kickoff out of bounds. And now Minnesota Morris getting a break. They're
great field position.
Yep.
And again, all they do need is a field goal here. And I understand that Davis has struggled today. I do. Yeah. But
it's still just a field goal.
It is still just a field goal. Like you said, I would feel comfortable if I'm Minnesota Morris getting him at least inside the 25-yard line. Even the 25-yard line to give him a chance. But he's shown that he's been vulnerable. He hasn't been able to get the ball up in the air. Are they going to redo the kick?
They are. I wasn't even paying attention to what was happening on the field, but we're redoing the kickoff.
Okay, so Minnesota Morris elected to take the yards and redo the kick.
And, I mean, that's only 5 yards. I'll take that break. If you're Vincent Pagankoff, if you can straighten that out, get it down to the 10-15, you can probably do better than letting the Cougars start at the 35. But I also see the logic from Minnesota Morris. There's a chance you can break a big return here as well.
And get even better field positioning.
58.8 to go. Pagankoff up and away. It's low. It's at the 15. It's picked up by Garza. He's past the 35. Down at the 42, so they get better yardage. Does take 8 seconds off the clock, but they get better yardage. 7 more yards than they had otherwise. What can the Druick defense do now?
What a way to open the season.
50 seconds on the clock. Minnesota Morris, you just got to get into field goal range. How about Charbonneau not expecting to play today, now having a lead, a game-winning drive. He lets it fly deep. Nearly picked off by Aiden Hatchett.
And that would have sealed the deal. He got a glove on it. He broke it up. It was not a good pass from Charbonneau.
And look at that, Chase Hankins coming over to the sideline himself to get the bleachers up on their feet. The headset falling off as he waves for them to get up. The Cougars putting everything they've got on the field. Both Cougars. Charbonneau looking deep. Goes to the right, incomplete. Out ahead of Trent Roden, and it's 3rd and 10. I mean, you're going for it on 4th down no matter what.
Have to. You have no other option.
2 more plays for Minnesota Morris. Honestly, kind of a good thing for the Cougars that they didn't get that completion. Clock would have been running. You have to use a timeout. It would have only been a 4 or 5 yard
Coach
gain.
Druick on the sideline, jumping up and down at his secondary. I love it.
This is not the energy that this team had last year. There's a new energy in River Forest. 3rd and 10. Charbonneau looking deep. Incomplete, way over the head of Nakmus. 1 play, 1 last shot for Minnesota Morris. The Cougars of Concordia, Chicago. 1 play away from sealing it. The sideline is up and down. They're bouncing, they're energized. Coach Hankins screaming at the bleachers to get up. And now they start standing. The sideline's bouncing. Charbonneau under pressure. Lets it fly. Incomplete. And the Cougars hold Minnesota Morris to a 4 and out. And they will win it.
What a turnaround. In the last minute and 41 seconds, this looked like this game was on ice.
Concordia, Chicago. They don't go out easy. They don't die. And they lead 17-16.
Now, you know what? This comeback all started by 1 play. And it was the 90 or the 72-yard pitch and catch that Jordan Lacey went and tracked down Carter Watness.
Yep.
And if that doesn't happen, this game is over.
Yep. It's those plays. You've been talking about it all game, Dominic. Those little plays that you'll look back on at the end that made an impact. And today, there's a lot of those that lead to the Cougars picking up the win in River Forest. Coach Hankins keeping his team on the sideline in case there's a timeout. There's not gonna be. And Concordia, Chicago is gonna start their season 1-0. There's a party in River Forest. The Concordia Chicago Cougars take down the Minnesota Morris Cougars, and they start their season 1-0 for the first time since 2021.
I don't know about you, Jonathan, but that was one of the wilder, not just endings, but football games I have ever seen.
I mean, a minute 40, the Cougars stopped on 4th down. 7-yard pitch and catch to Watness. It just felt like everything is going Minnesota Morris's way. And the Cougars don't die. And I mean, you wanted to see what kind of an impact Charlie Druick can make in his first game leading the Cougars defense. You couldn't have asked for anything more. And just look at Coach Druick, how excited he is running around the field. He's making sure he says good game with everyone on Minnesota Morris's side, but he is amped up as his defense leads the Cougars to a 17-16 victory in Week 1.
And what a statement made by CUC. Again, this was a program that will admit it themselves. They struggled last year defensively, and the numbers don't lie. But look at how excited these players are. You got guys doing cartwheels. You can't blame them. This is a program that has been wanting a resurgence for some time now. And they feel like they have the personnel this year and beyond. And Coach Druick I mean, if you're to give an MVP to someone, it might be him and his play calling. With the way he was able to impact this game from the sideline, a terrific debut as the defensive coordinator for this team. And at the end of the day, Minnesota Morris is going to look back at a ton of the opportunities they had, and especially in the last 2 minutes when they were on the 5-yard line and a chance to put this thing away, and they could not do it. It's heartbreak, and that is not the way you want to start your season. But Concordia Chicago picks up a massive victory, and that's the goal, to go 1-0 each week. And what a non-conference win this was. The guys felt slighted. You said interacting with these guys, they said they felt like Minnesota Morris was going to walk in here and think they had an easy victory. And at the end of the day, they were the more mentally tough team. They stuck it out. They grinded and gritted through the last 2 minutes of this ball game. And this one ends in a win for the Cougars of Concordia Chicago in thrilling fashion.
I mean, you look out on the field. Out of all the players I talked to this week about this upcoming game, the most confident that Concordia Chicago was going to win was number 55, Ben Hardy. He made his first career appearance on the field, starting on the offensive line for the Cougars. And you look out on the field right now, Ben Hardy going up to congratulate every single player on his team. The first out of line, the first jumping up and down and yelling. I mean, you got to feel over the moon if you're the Cougars right now. The best result you could have hoped for. Not only do you win in week one, this is an emotional win too. This is a win in like tough situations. Under 2 minutes, you get pushed right on your back, and you manage to punch straight back, and pick up a win.
And again, and like we said, we know that this is not technically the start of a new head coaching era, but it's the start of a new era in the sense that you have two completely new coordinators running the offense and the defense here. This was a team win from top to bottom. Offense was getting it done. The run game stepped up when it needed to. Big plays by Bosch, especially throwing it over the field. And then at the end of the day, and there you see Chase Hankins getting doused by the Gatorade and the jug of water. And that's very well deserved. Again, you try and go 1-0 each week, and when you can start the season 1-0, that's a heck of a feeling.
Yeah, and that's like you said, a well-deserved Gatorade dump for Coach Hankins. His players love him, and you mentioned it's not technically a new head coaching era. This is Coach Hankins' second year. It feels like it, though. And, I mean, just the vibe in this stadium, the atmosphere with these players and their coaching staff. Just going back 2 years ago to the Andy Lambert tenure, I mean, the players, the confidence and the bond they have with their coaches in over these 2 years, it's so much stronger. They love their coaching staff. They feel supported by them, and you can see it out on the field. They make a mistake, the coaches get on them, they fix it. You saw that on the defense. I mean, you talked about it, and it's just kind of want to go back to. You mentioned Jordan Lacey laying down big hits on the sideline. Coach Druick was getting on his players after the first half for not hitting hard enough on the sideline, whether it's in the end zone, on the catch down around the 40. Jordan Lacey makes that correction. He's hitting harder on the sideline. He's doing exactly what his coach wants him to because there's that connection, there's that trust. That can be the difference maker, and the Cougars had that difference maker today, and they pick up a huge 17-16 win. And we'll run through some of those key playmakers today for Concordia Chicago. And we'll start with the QB. We talked about him for in the game, Colton Bosch. To be honest, he did struggle for most of the day. But then in big moments, he made big plays, and he had his best drive of the day when he needed to in crunch time with less than 2 minutes to go and led a game-winning drive.
And that's all that matters, right? You look at the numbers for Bosch, 14 for 34, 195 yards through the air, a touchdown, did throw a pick, 83.3 rating. Again, he'll probably tell you that is not up to his standards on the day he necessarily wants number-wise. But I don't think that any of these guys care right now about their individual stats. When you pick up a big opening season win like you just did on your own home field with family and friends surrounding you on the sideline, this is a special moment for Cougar Nation right now. To pick up your first season opening win in 4 years, to do it at home and to do it against an opponent that let's not lie, was probably doubting you all week.
Yeah.
And that has to be the best feeling in the world. And we know with how much parity there is at this level in college football, anything can happen.
Yeah.
And when you put the right pieces in the right places, when you're able to fit and make the puzzle turn out to what you want it to be, and you put the right guys in the right spots, and you hire the right people like you did with these two the offensive and defensive coordinators today, I think that's a great sign moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, the vibe around campus for the last few years, it's been, it's Cougar football. And to be honest, you don't like it. It's treated as a bit of a joke. You come into this year, that's how you can change that atmosphere in just one game. You pick up a win that is anything but a joke, a confident win, playing good football, and you take down a team that is a good team. This is a good Minnesota Morris team.
This
just 2 years removed from winning a conference, projected top half of their conference, and a competitive UMAC. And you pick up a big win to open your season. You change the atmosphere, you change the culture, you change the program, and Cougar football, a big week one win. Similar to those other stats from the day. Jerron Brown, heck of a day on the ground, especially in the second half. 22 carries, 171 yards, and the game-winning touchdown at the end of the fourth quarter. Kevon Lawson, 7 catches, 72 yards. Jackson Martinez, only 2 catches, but 32 yards, and his first career touchdown as a sophomore. The Cougars, they made big plays when they needed to. Now, you go over to Minnesota Morris. You had some good days on offense from those guys. Hayden Charbonneau, how about that? 5 for 12, so not a great completion rate, but 118 yards and a touchdown in just one half of football in a game that he wasn't supposed to be playing in after getting subbed in the second half for Bryson Drake. A great day from the sophomore. Sean Cayley Chenenga, 57 yards on the ground. Losing Chenenga and having to go to Way as the number 1 back, you can tell that did hurt Minnesota Morris's offensive game plan a bit. You lost that dynamic part of the offense. In receiving, it's Carter Watkins, 2 catches, 85 yards, 1 touchdown. Would have been the player of the game if they'd been able to hold on to that win. He made big plays in big moments. And Orion Nakmus, a great touchdown catch in the first half, the first score for either of these teams. And you go over to the defensive end of the ball for Minnesota Morris. Obviously, Chase Meyer, 2 tackles, a sack, a tackle for loss, interception, 2 pass breakups, and a QB hit. But you want to notice what's most notable, and it's kind of going to bring to what I want to talk about next, the Concordia O-line. That stat line for Chase Meyer didn't change at all
after
between the first and second half.
Right? I mean, they cleaned it up, and there were definitely conversations had in the locker room about giving him more time because you could tell Bosch was not comfortable in the pocket at moments early in the first half when his line really anchored down. Gave him an extra second or two. That's what I hit on at the end of the first half. They need to try and give him just a split second more because Bosch is that good of a quarterback to where all he needs is that split second to adjust, and he can make the adjustment because he's that skilled. At the end of the day, I think a huge part of this win, like you mentioned, the offensive line is going to get a lot of credit. At the end of the day, this is an all-around team win. There are probably 4 or 5 guys on the roster right now you can look at and say, that guy made a play that at the end of the day won us this game. I mean, like we said, you look at Jordan Lacey. You look at the final touchdown catch look at the final touchdown run from Brown. That helped seal the deal as well. I mean, you look at the PAT, and that's a tough spot. That's a really, really tough spot for a first-year kicker to be in, to nail an extra point and give your team a 1-point lead. There's so many guys you can give credit to, but at the end of the day, this is a team win for the Cougars.
100%. Like you said, you look up and down this lineup. Great play, great play, great play. You talked about those little moments, and initially it was going to be those little moments that cost the Cougars a game. Now it's those little moments that are the reason Concordia Chicago was able to pick up the win, and the little moments Minnesota Morris wasn't able to. That's how quick you can change which little moments are important. And you look at how this defense is different from last year's, how this new defense has been so much better. Only 1 sack, but that's because there wasn't a lot of opportunities to get a sack. A lot of runs, a lot of quick passes.
A lot of quick pitches.
9 tackles for loss
from
this squad. That says a lot. That means you're breaking through the O-line, you're breaking down plays, you're disrupting plays. Last year, this Cougars defense, you're lucky to get 3, maybe 4 tackles for loss a game. You're struggling to break through the line. You're not this year. That's a huge difference. That's how you disrupt an offense. It's how they disrupted the offense on that last defensive stand in the fourth quarter to force a field goal and give their team the opportunity to take the lead. And I think one of probably my favorite moments from this game was the coaching staff in that last 2 minutes.
Oh, absolutely.
You pointed out as soon as you saw it, Coach Druick screaming at his defense to get over to the bench. We need to start planning 2-3 plays away for when the offense scores. You assume your team's going to score. You need to be ready. And they were. Coach Hankins being the one to come off the sideline, come over to the track, and start yelling at the bleachers to stand on their feet and get loud. That's something you don't see too often from a head coach, especially the one who's the offensive play caller for this team, telling the fans to get up, get loud. It's not a new head coaching era, but it feels like a new era for Cougar football.
Absolutely, and you love to see that energy. I think the guys see that energy because they feed off of it. They see, hey, our leader is getting everyone going right now. And we know that we have our people behind us here at Concordia Stadium. So just a heck of a team effort, a heck of a team win. I tell you, this is going to be a fun Cougar team to watch this year, I think, with how much more disciplined they are, the style of offense that we've seen, and the style of defense that we've seen from both first-year coordinators. It's going to be a fun year for Cougar football.
Absolutely. And this isn't going to be it from the Cougar Sports Network here today. We have head coach Chase Hankins coming up for the post-game interview with your victorious head coach. I'll be right here on the Cougar Sports Network in just a minute, so don't go away. We will be right back. What's up, Cougar Nation? I'm Jonathan Shear with the Cougar Sports Network, here after a thrilling Week 1 victory for the Cougar football team and your victorious head coach, Chase Hankins. Coach, just to lead off with, congratulations on a big win this week.
Thank you. Hopefully we won't win ugly in a couple of games, but hey, it's hard to win a college football game, so I'll take them whenever I can. So awesome.
Absolutely. And honestly, we're going to go right off of that. I just want to get your immediate thoughts about today's game. How do you feel coming off of a finish like that?
Yeah, I think that, first off, hats off to our defense. Bringing in Coach Druick, you see that immediate impact, and then the guys that we brought in, even when things weren't going their way, they never folded, they never faltered, and we won this game because they never quit. And then as far as our offense goes, clearly in the first half it took a little bit of slow goings to get going. And then near the end of the first half, we started moving the ball a little bit more. We just couldn't finish those drives. But then right at the end of the game, we started finishing our drives, which is always how you want to end these games, where hopefully we can just keep winning or keep building while we're learning lessons and winning at the same time. A lot of times you have to lose to learn those lessons, but I'll take that as long as we continue to progress.
100%. And, I mean, it's something we were saying a lot right after that win on the broadcast. This isn't technically a new head coaching era for the football team. This is your second year with the team, but it feels like a new era for Cougar football. Starting off the year 1-0 for the first time since 2021 for this squad. I mean, it feels like a new era. And just how does that feel down on the sideline, just the atmosphere with the players?
Yeah, it's kind of like what I told you yesterday. Did a lot of guys on that defense leave? Yeah, but the right ones stayed. And you kind of trim that fat, and like, those guys were the guys that we're going to win games with have always been there. It just takes a little bit of time to get more guys like that. Yeah. And it definitely there's a different feel now where it's not just same old Concordia. It's it's the brand new look, and that's really exciting to see, especially this early on. Because you're right, last year it was kind of like, okay, you're the head coach, good luck. And and now that we've gotten a little bit more time to dig our heels in and figure some stuff out, that's how we want to play football, and that's really exciting to see.
And I'm going to say, talking about the coaching staff, because one of the biggest things that stood out from those final 2 minutes was the coaching staff on the sidelines. Coach Charlie Druick getting his defense ready to go with a ton of energy right as your offense is about to score a touchdown. And then, I mean, you yourself going over to the sideline, yelling at the bleachers to get up, get loud, just getting the fans into the game. The coaching staff from the outside looked to play such a big role in getting your players into this game, keeping them energized, keeping them motivated today. What's been your focus and what's been your game plan with that side of the ball this season?
With the coaching staff?
Yeah.
I mean, it's always a good sign when you're not like dreading going to work every day and meeting with guys. And we've had to make a couple of changes, and we lost some guys that I call dear friends. But this is the best coaching staff I've ever been around. And you can see that with the youth and then the experience with Coach Clark. Coach Clark, he was the one that was able to figure out which run plays were hitting at the end there. And that's a huge credit to him as well, where we've got a really good blend of experience and youth. That youth gets the excitement and the intensity, and then the experience helps keep your composure late in those games. So I absolutely love this staff.
Yeah, and just to close up here, I mean, you already kind of mentioned it early. You lose, you learn lessons. Well, winning, you love to do it, and that's what you guys did today. But as you move forward, you have your last non-conference game before NAC play coming up this next weekend, headed to Manchester, Indiana, to take on Manchester University. Second time the school has played Manchester. Concordia took the win last year. Now you're going to Indiana to take on Manchester. As you go into this next week and you go forward through the last couple weeks of your non-conference play, how do you move forward from here? How do you focus on still building and learning those lessons?
Yeah, just 1-0 every week, and we're going to rely on the team Bible verse for the year, Job 23:10. He knows the way I've taken. When he has tried me, I shall come forth as gold. We're going to have we're going to have obstacles and we're going to have setbacks, but if we can just keep progressing every single week, this is going to be a really good football team.
Absolutely. And like we mentioned, Concordia Chicago back in action this upcoming weekend on the road in Indiana, taking on Manchester University. You'll be able to follow and get everything you need to know to follow that game at cucougars.com. But that'll do it from Concordia Stadium this week. Coach Hankins, again, congratulations on a big week one for your squad. And thank you for tuning in, and thank you for everyone who helped make this broadcast possible. I'm Jonathan Shear, the Cougar Sports Network. On air with me today was Dominic Leocani. And as always, thanks for joining us, and roll Cougs.
Go Cougs.
so much for tuning in to today's Concordia University Chicago Cougars Athletics broadcast. We hope to see you on campus very soon. If you would like to learn more about what Concordia Chicago has to offer, go to cuchicago.edu.